Maya from the place that I call home, but she's calling my name. Yeah, she's calling my name. Maya from her beautiful blue seas, but I'm playing the game, trying to get to this fame. Oh, oh. Think about what I've earned and what's given. Think about my future and my love. Play some ball, mess around and switch it up. Mix some C's with some B's and make a book. Too many trees, they be starting to hurt my lungs. In the box doing nothing that they flown. What the hell am I doing? I got to run now. Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. I got some hearts to fill and break free from this habit of negativity. Oh damn weak, that be sticking to me like macaroni in K3. I'm far away from the comfort of my bed, but it's all good, just as long as I can keep my head. Yeah, I'll be back, don't you worry about that. But first I gotta get on track and make some tracks now. Miles, from the place that I call home, but she's calling my name. Yeah, she's calling my name. Miles, from her beautiful blue seas, and I'm playing the game. Yeah, I'm playing the game. Yeah, 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 yeah. I got 200-300 in my wallet. I check the phone, see that nobody is calling. On the TV, everyone is balling like they stalling, but I'm stalling 'cause I'm all in. I think about the nice weather, 'cause I'm freezing in a big sweater. Haven't talked to G, Josh, even Mr. Sweller. Used to make hits and you know it lasts forever. Hey, take me back. Backpack, snapbacks, Kendrick on the Mac. Dreaming about putting Guam music on the map. Scheming about rhymes, we be planning our attack. Hey, I'll be back, my homies. Please stay hungry, you know that I'm coming. Make a few hundreds, then add a few commas. Be honest, and you know you gotta stay humble. Mayo, from the place that I call, but she's calling my name. Yeah, she's calling my name. Mayo, from her beautiful blue seas, and I'm playing the game. Yeah, trying to get to this fame. Mayo, from the place that I call home, but she's calling my name. Yeah, she's calling my name. Mayo, from her beautiful blue seas. Yeah, she's calling my name, trying to get to this fame. Mayo, from the place that I call home, but she's calling my name. Yeah, she's calling my name. Mayo, from her beautiful blue sea. Yeah, I'm playing the game. Yeah, I'm playing the game. Yeah, Mayo, from the place that I call home.
Rosia uli di sombranzelten meg e zu te saluda antes di niga Radzalzen malak estrezas durante in todo in memu a nogi distancia gumugubugi palu Zangiman malak guafi ikonum nasugi airi prebatu la noci nai banderata Caigui, pues atan Fanny bandera, kau esta pagua pumalalapa, giluk tanu man libri, sentami ti man ko badi.
Fanogi tamoru purita nota kantai matu nanyagi toru ilugat parai honra parai gloria abiba isla sin parat parai honra parai gloria abiba isla sin parat todo y tiempo y paz para kita dan gini langit na bendition Conchai piligu na fan sofuham Zeus protehis languahon Conchai piligu na fan sofuham Zeus protehis languahon Netanyahu, ufresin maisatu, arabaputei, zan defendi, ihinengi, cultura, lenguaje, airi, hano, zanitano tamoru, yes, zanitano tamoru, yes, Shaku, la 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 la. Did I to get into stop that? 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 SD who what been my ihilo Zani Biblia Ibandera Ngohan yes 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 Ibandera Ngohan yeah. Mastakilu, Hinasoku, Kinini Mastakalo, Ikurason, Then Imasfiku, Nanina Sinyahu, Ufresin Maisatu, Arabapute, Then Defendi, Hinengi, Cultura, Lenguaje. Tamoru, yes. Tanitano Tamoru, yes. The Shaku, la. Did I to get into stop that? 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 It's the who, what been my ihilo. Zani Biblia, Ibandera Ngohan, yes, 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 Ibandera Ngohan, yeah.
Morning, Guam. Right on. Hey, Sabrina.
Hi.
What's up, Jason? Jason has a lot of energy this morning.
Yes.
He's already done like 8 TikToks.
Caffeine is awesome!
Good morning. It's 6:21.
Speaking of TikToks,
Yeah.
I actually did a TikTok. So if you guys want to check out, okay, I learned something yesterday.
Do you have it? Can we pop it up?
I mean,
or-
okay, I've done a bunch of like TikToks. Let me.
Yeah, you
let me
have.
actually bring this
You
up.
have.
1 second. What I learned yesterday was if you do a collab with our own Isaiah Uggan, your follower numbers are going to go through the roof.
Oh, nice.
I just did this and... Okay. Okay, wait. Hang on. I don't want to show the...
And this is to
Okay,
the Men in
oh,
Black
there you go.
song,
Okay,
which
my
is
turn. Okay,
what's the
ready?
original of that, Jay?
What's the song? Forget Me Not?
Yeah, Forget Me Nots.
So this is Hannah and Isaiah and I, and I've got like all of the rhythm and fluidity and...
Of a chicken
temp-
giraffe.
Well, I was going to say of a 2x4.
Okay, right. There you go. our resident TikTok
I
expert
was like,
in
you,
here.
you guys could have like told me not to wear like Zoris and like basketball shorts. I
You
came
could have
back.
also said no. It's good stuff, man.
But also on TikTok, you guys might have seen on our Instagram feed there was Vic and Hannah giving you a sneak peek of what's coming up for Feed Me Friday.
Yeah.
You guys see that trend that's going?
It's that one that's like, and it kind of sounds like you're saying, peacock. That's right? It kind of sounds like you're
I
saying
mean, if
peacock.
that's what you heard from it, then go.
That's
with
what I
it.
heard.
But see, the trick to that trend is, if you listen to like the song, right? It's like when the beat drops in that one song.
Yeah.
There's this like kind of like crescendo for about like 6 seconds.
A
And
build up.
the thing is, you're supposed to be like, I've seen people like put on like entire outfits, tie up their tie. You're supposed to like do it, and then when the
Bless you.
beat drops, then you're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Jason has some moves, ladies. Hey, ladies.
Yeah, I moved straight to like study hall. That
Right
was-
on. Good stuff, Jay. What's your TikTok?
I'm Jason Salas 671. But
Okay.
You guys want to follow Isaiah? He's got really, really funny stuff. Mr. Uggen.
Mr.
Really
Dot
funny.
Uggen. Got it. 623, Thursday, November 18, 2021. Brought to you by Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, ITN, and Jack in the Box. Good morning. Morning, Link fam. Good morning, Facebook Live.
How you doing?
Who we got in our Facebook Live, Sabrina?
Let me pull it up.
Okay,
Chris.
right on.
So we have got a 5-person crew in the Link studio once again. 5 of us here.
That's right.
Chris behind the mic. Sabrina with the. Can you please turn on the LEDs? That is so cool. With like the
She's running, her headphones are malfunction.
broke.
the
Okay.
kitty
Yeah.
cat ears. Okay.
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
Ooh. Wait, what happened? It was on for a second.
Turn on the red light.
Oh, there
There
you
you
go.
go.
And see, I love that. Like how it just changes color.
Yep. Link, load shedding edition.
You know what I could do? I bet you that I could actually hook a sensor up, and I could write the code for that.
I
that
bet
would-
you could.
That would reflect your mood.
Or how about just like when she's doing the news, it's going off, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Matching her cadence. Hey, it's 6:25. Thank you guys for joining us on Facebook Live.
So Joser and Mike are also here.
Yes, Mike V and Joe Sir on the ones and twos.
I'm the only guy in the room who's like above 5'7".
Bennett Lujan Duenas, good morning. Elizabeth Agagi, Hafaloa, good morning. KUM Guam from Eva Beach, Hawaii. Angel Pete Quintanilla Castro, good morning. Karina Conception, Guam morning, she says. That's clever. Elizabeth Agagi, good morning. Chris, Jason, Sabrina, Joe Sir, Mike V. Rosemary Laguardia, good morning, Rosemary. Who else we got here? Andrew Terlahi, good morning. Familia, it's clear up north in Dedido. Kenneth Paulino says good morning. And Andrew goes on to say, it was a good night and morning in Dedido. I did not hear any sirens going up Isang Song or Woodstick Road.
That's always good.
Fracassini, Roberto Fracassini, buongiorno, Guam. Hey, thanks for his, he came and dropped a donation, Jay.
Oh, thank you, Signore.
for
Thank you very much.
part of our toy drive is, we're collecting a bunch of toys to help out the Salvation Army.
Yeah, it's that time of year, and man, people have already been asking like, how can we drop off, for Toys for Tots? Are the Marines are they collect? Of course, the Marines are collecting. Marines don't just take up a job; they do the job until it gets done. So, and we've always worked with them, and we're very, very honored to be able to collect toys once again for needy kids on our island.
Right on. 626. Here's who's coming up on the show. We're gonna go in with Mayor Luis Rivera of Tatuha. They got a big meeting and a vaccination, I think a booster clinic going on.
They're also contemplating possibly changing the name.
yeah, that's right.
Is it?
Yep.
Is it actually changing the pronunciation as well as the spelling? or-
Well, we'll find out when the mayor comes on.
Yeah.
Also, Senator Frank Blas Jr., Senator Sabina Paris, Senator Joanne Brown. And we're also continuing our week-long symposium on diabetes, Sabrina, this morning at 9 o'clock. It's going to be
Yes,
awesome.
We're talking to Dr. David Klonoff, known as the founding father of diabetes technology,
Yep.
and Dr.
Francisco Pascal.
Yes.
Francisco Pascal.
Yeah, both. I mean, okay, we recorded this interview, and Bree and I mean, as a geek, my mind was blown. I mean, my jaw, my mask was on, but my jaw was on the floor, like
Right.
seeing what is coming. I even told him, I was like, I cared for my dad, who had pretty advanced diabetes for several years, or I helped care for him. I wish he had some of the stuff that's coming up in the future
Wow.
because like the future is bright. soon are going to be, you're going to be able to see. Remember those days when you had to like prick your finger, like inject the insulin and everything like that? That's going to be a thing of the past, and that's a very good thing.
Good morning. We had a new listener here, Hannah Bedeau, types in, good morning, Guam. And Agnes Tudela Cabrera, Dr. Cabrera's mom. Good morning, my link friends. Stay safe, everyone. Did we play the video of the bread pudding?
We had it.
Okay. Yeah, let's
Thank
go.
you, by the way, that was so good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Auntie. You want to jam that out?
We're just going to
Thank you,
jam this
Bernie.
out here, guys. If you don't mind us jamming this out, and then we'll go ahead and jam out the news. What folder is that, Jay?
It's in today's.
Right. So yeah, here's a little clip of Auntie Agnes stopping by our Link Studios. Totally fine for you guys if you want to follow her great example and stop by with some goodies. All right, here with Auntie Agnes, another special delivery from the CNMI.
No, it's just from here. I'm living here now.
Auntie Agnes is living here now, and we have this is a special recipe of bread pudding, huh? Wow. Wow, what's that on the top, Auntie Agnes?
Oh, it's the banana cream pudding and peach pieces.
Ooh, wow!
So you're gonna have a good rainy day snack.
I don't know if we're going to be able to move after we eat that, Auntie Agnes.
Then we'll be making the roast cook.
Okay, so, hey, Guam and CNMI, we're coming together like this. Thank you so much. Pudding is cool, all right? But the way she did it, Bree?
Yeah, it was really good. She had the peaches in it, and then there was some coconut.
Banana pudding.
Oh, yeah, you definitely could taste the banana. It was just so good. It was so moist.
Moving to the cinema, gonna eat a lot of peaches.
Yeah, so Auntie Agnes said she's going to bring the Roscoe by next week.
Oh, man.
Yep, that's a winner.
Was Auntie Bernie with her?
She wasn't with her
Oh.
when she came by, but maybe she'll come by next week. Right on. It's 6:30, Thursday, November 18th. Let's go ahead and get into our first look at the news with the very latest from the KUAM News team on this November 18th, 2021, Thursday morning. Good morning, Sabrina Salas Matanani.
Hafaday, everybody. Speaker Therese Terlahi will be holding an oversight hearing today with the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission and the Guam Department of Land Management on the status of recent or pending transfers, deeds, leases, or licenses between the government of Guam and the federal government, including the Department of Defense. Original landowners are encouraged to watch. As reported, the DoD is in the process of returning hundreds of acres of excess federal lands to the local government. Through a FOIA request, KUAM was able to obtain a January 2021 letter to the governor from the feds, which provided an updated list of 231 acres in the process of being returned to Gov Guam and 95 acres of land subject to potential transfer. Also listed 6,225 acres of submerged properties. The biggest parcels currently in the process of being returned to Gov Guam, parcel 7 of the former CB Base Camp Covington, totaling 60 acres, 15.5 acres at the PD Power Plant, 13.3 acres at Tengisan Beach Park, 6 acres at Agana Diesel Power Plant, 5.5 acres at USO Beach Park, and 5 acres at Marbo Cave. As for land subject to potential transfer, 102 acres, making up portions of Eagles Fields, where the governor intends to use for the billion-dollar healthcare complex. Other parcels include 23 acres at Tumon Tank Farm, 5 acres west of Route 3 and 2 acres next to the Nimitz Reservoir, among others. Also listed as potential to transfer were 6,225 acres of submerged lands from Hilaan, Asan, and Tengisan. Guam law states properties returned to Gov Guam from the federal government are to be returned to original landowners. However, according to Guam Ancestral Lands Director John Birch, in the event returned lands are kept by Gov Guam for continued public benefit, original landowners or their heirs are to be compensated via the land bank. That oversight hearing is scheduled for 5 p.m. today. You can watch it live on the legislature's YouTube channel. No word yet from Adelup on when the easing of restrictions will happen, but as we reported, the governor's office has indicated it will be in the coming days. The Joint Information Center, in the meantime, reported 34 people are hospitalized for COVID. There are 2 pediatric admissions. 5 patients are receiving ICU level of care, while 3 are on a ventilator. The JIC also reports that out of the 34 hospitalized patients, 20 are vaccinated and 14 are unvaccinated. Public Health also reports a total of 32 new positive cases of COVID out of just 769 tests performed on the 16th. Of the new cases, 12 were identified through contact tracing. To date, there have been a total of 19,015 officially reported cases, 260 deaths, 1,815 people are in isolation, and 16,940 people have recovered. The CAR score is now 2.6. Yes, Chris, 2.6. Today, a total of 124,734 of Guam's eligible population is fully vaccinated. As for booster shots or additional doses of the vaccine, the following have been administered: 13,926 doses of Pfizer, 7,120 doses of Moderna, and 176 doses of J&J. Elsewhere, CNMI officially released an update to its entry protocol, which goes into effect this Friday. As reported, the CNMI will have new entry protocols for incoming travelers. According to the CNMI Office of the Governor, effective November 19th, all incoming domestic travelers should provide contact information through the mandatory health declaration form, and quarantine will be based on the vaccination status of both the traveler and their household. The updated travel protocol includes travelers who are fully vaccinated and verified to be staying in a fully vaccinated household or lodging are not required to quarantine, but will have to be tested for COVID between days 3 to 5 of their stay, which will be based on their departure date. If the traveler is staying less than 5 days, their contacts will also be required to be tested for COVID. Fully vaccinated travelers who are not residing in a fully vaccinated household or lodging area must undergo a 5-day quarantine in a government facility, which also applies to travelers residing with children ineligible for a vaccine. Unvaccinated travelers are still required to quarantine in a government facility for 7 days and test on their last day. Any traveler who tests positive for COVID will be put in isolation in a government facility for 10 days. Travelers will have to upload their proof of vaccination in the health declaration form, and if they are vaccinated outside the CNMI, a secondary verification is needed. You can view the policy now on our Instagram. Keeping with the CNMI, the public school system released their schedule for COVID vaccinations across their campuses on Rota, Tinian, and Saipan between now and December 16th. According to hospital CEO Esther Muña, school-based vaccination events have a long history and have successfully contributed to lower morbidity and mortality due to vaccine-preventable diseases. PSS Acting Commissioner of Education Eric Magofnia added that PSS supports the initiative and recognizes that school-based vaccination sites provide students with a comfortable and familiar environment. The school-based outreaches are available to students and staff of PSS. Parents or legal guardians will need to register their children for vaccinations by visiting vaccinatecnmi.com, or you can call 670-682-7468. That's 670-682-SHOT. Walk-ins are not accepted at the school-based outreaches. With more news now, here is Daniel Perez.
This news update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Hafa and good morning. I'm Daniel Perez with your headlines here on The Link. It's not the kind of steps you can track on Fitbit, but it is the kind of steps the healthcare chair plans to look into. Here's more on the above step recruitment happening at GMH.
Ground zero for COVID-19. Without a doubt, they are frontline heroes, giving and sacrificing during our battle against the virus. But among a sea of documents, GMH has been doing a lot of hiring above step recruitment and not necessarily hiring frontliners providing direct patient care.
I think that the danger in this type of thing is, of course, diverting funds from other critical uses.
The issue of above-step recruitment at GMH came to light during a recent confirmation hearing for a nominee to the hospital board of trustees, who was asked about above-step recruitment for a hospital marketing and communications director. According to the October 14th petition, the starting salary at step 1 is $60,000, but GMH petitioned for a STEP 10 salary of $83,000.
I am concerned that those are the things we are sidestepping.
According to the Department of Administration's website, an agency can petition for above-step recruitment because of documented recruitment difficulty or exceptional qualifications. The petition must then be posted on the agency's website for 10 days before the applicant is hired. At GMH, they've apparently had a hard time recruiting for several positions included in the paper trail. In February, they petitioned for above-step recruitment for a data processing supervisor, normally starting at a Step 1 salary of $45,000, but GMH recruited the position at Step 10, almost $62,000. In April, for a food and beverage manager, normally starting at Step 1 with a salary of $49,000, but to be hired at Step 10 at $68,000. Also in April, for a management analyst 4, normally starting at a Step 1 salary of $49,000, but petitioned to be paid at Step 10 at $68,000. In May, for a program coordinator 4 for capital improvement projects, normally starting at Step 1 at $45,000, but to be hired at Step 10 with a salary of $62,000. In June, for Program Coordinator 3 for their Emergency Health Records System, normally starting at Step 1 at $45,000 to Step 10, $62,000. In July, GMH petitioned for above-step recruitment for a Program Coordinator 4 for fiscal. This position normally starts at a Step 1 salary of $49,000, but GMH petitioned to hire this person at Step 10 at $68,000. In October, for a hospital chef supervisor, normally hired at Step 1 at $37,000, but recruited at Step 10 with a salary of $51,000. Also in October, GMH petitioned for the creation of a position for a Deputy Assistant of Administrator of Operations. The Step 1 is at $70,000, but GMH recruited the individual at Step 18 at $125,000. And apparently that deputy will serve as the assistant to the Assistant Administrator of Operations, jumping from a Step 1 salary of $76,000 to a Step 18 salary of $134,000.
We have critical needs at GMH that must be prioritized. And if we cannot fill nursing positions, nursing positions determine how many beds we can fill over there. And we've been paying exorbitant amounts for traveling nurses, and we still have gaps in nursing. And I always believe those are critical. The hiring of specialists is of course critical. And there's been, so much talk about, why is GMH not hiring specialists? Well, they have all the authority to hire specialists and to set salaries for medical professionals as needed. In other words, if specialists are hard to recruit, we want to put money into that and recruit them.
All these steps have led GMH to now have to take a walk down to the legislature. Speaker Therese Terlahi plans to hold an oversight hearing next month on the hospital's hiring practices and vacancies.
How do we say in one breath we're trying to prioritize the recruitment of nurses, specialists, and other medical professionals, and then we hire above step for other less critical positions?
The speaker also plans to call in the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center to look into their hiring as well.
After 9 weeks in the hospital battling COVID, a mother is finally home and able to hold her newborn in her arms. Here's more on this report. A day after her baby shower, Justina Garcia started to feel COVID symptoms. For the safety of her unborn child, she decided to get checked.
I went into GMH on September 6th, and I went in initially because I wasn't feeling her move. I went in just to be safe, and when I went in, I was already experiencing like flu-like symptoms. So I never thought it was like COVID or anything. So I went in, they tested me, came back positive. They told me to go home, quarantine for 10 days, and I was in contact with public health. A couple of days later, my symptoms got worse.
Due to COVID symptoms, Garcia was admitted into GMH for her and her daughter's well-being.
I lost my sense of taste and smell, and I had really bad body aches. So I went back again on September 11th, And I went to the labor and delivery ward, and they told me that I had to have an emergency C-section because the baby's heart rate was dropping.
Garcia recalls waking up after the C-section, intubated.
My first thought was, where's my baby? Like, what happened? Like, why am I here? And I was just trying to recall everything that happened. And then the nurses, a doctor came in, and he was just explaining everything to me. And I was just really just freaked out. I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't get in contact with my family at the time. So the nurses and the doctors were there initially when I woke up. But it was just a really scary experience.
For more than 6 weeks, Garcia was in the hospital recovering.
I was in ICU, and I had all these like tubes, and I was attached to a machine, and I felt really like out of it. I was heavily sedated.
After being detached from the tubes and going through physical therapy to walk again, Garcia was able to go home on November 13th.
They had to test me twice for COVID just to make sure that I was negative so that my family can come and see me. So when the second test came back negative, I was like, okay, call my mom. I was like, call my mom. I need her here now. And my mom came in when, we got that test. It was a sense of relief that I was COVID-free, but at the time I didn't know if my daughter was COVID-free. Until my mom told me.
Garcia and her daughter are both COVID-free and urges residents to consider getting the vaccine.
I'm not trying to say if you don't get vaccinated, this is going to happen. You're going to land where I was. That's not the case. I would just say for those, it would be a good idea to consider it, not for your safety, but the safety of others.
Garcia plans to get vaccinated. As for her daughter, she hopes a vaccine for infants will be made soon. In regional news, the NMI House Committee investigating Governor Torres finds his executive assistant in contempt after weeks of back and forth and after she appeared before the committee with attorneys but objected to the subpoena on Tuesday. KUAM's Tomas Maglotnya reports.
Refusing to answer questions is also grounds for contempt, as the chair has noted. And I guess my first question to you is it your intention to refuse to answer any of our questions today?
I, Francis De La Cruz, hereby object to the subpoena served on me today.
Okay, thank you. Privilege. We've heard this statement. We've heard this 10 times.
After weeks of waiting and a written affidavit, the House Investigative Committee finally got to question the governor's executive assistant, Francis De La Cruz. However, De La Cruz objected to the subpoena and reread a prepared statement.
I object to this subpoena because my employer and I have raised testimonial immunity, executive privilege as provided under the constitutional separation of powers doctrine.
Flanked by attorneys, she says in part that the subpoena is overbroad and exceeds the scope of the legislature's power.
It seems like they practice not to say anything. The governor, all the time, he has nothing to hide. I believe he should encourage the witnesses, just like what Rep. Prop said, to come in here and just tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
And lawmakers had enough.
This time there is a unanimous vote to hold Ms. De La Cruz in contempt and report to the Speaker for further certification to the Attorney General. That motion by unanimous vote it carries.
Tomas Manglotnya for KUAM News on Saipan.
That's it for now. We'll see you tonight for KUAM News Primetime.
This news update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Biden signing a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill earlier this week. Congressman Michael Sinicolas gives us a breakdown of the potential funding for Guam.
Congressman Michael Sinicolas says with the enactment of the infrastructure package, it is but one of two measures his office has been working hard to secure. According to the breakdown provided by his office, Guam can expect millions heading our way. Through the Territorial Highway Program, Guam should expect to receive more than $95 million over 5 years, with which to rebuild roads and bridges. The island can also compete for $7.5 billion in funding over that same time period for major projects to deliver substantial economic benefits to communities. Guam may also expect $11 million over 5 years to provide and improve public transportation options island-wide. Now, under the new federal law, Guam is set to receive a minimum allocation of $25 million to help provide broadband coverage across the territory, including providing access to at least 51,000 Guamanians who currently lack it. Guam can also expect to receive $2.5 million to protect against cyber attacks and funding that will help reduce energy costs for families. We should also receive more than $30 million over 5 years to improve water infrastructure. Finally, Guam airports are expected to receive about $30 million for infrastructure development. According to the delegate, quote, "The work continues, though, to secure remaining provisions for Guam and the President's Build Back Better agenda, which he said could be tackled this week."
Inside Business with Tyler Matanani.
Meet Darren Talai, president of International Dining Concepts. They're in charge of bringing local favorites to the island, such as Pika's, Beach and Shrimp, and California Pizza Kitchen, just to name a few. They had a total of 456 employees working for them before the pandemic.
And it was doing gangbusters all the way up to until the pandemic hit.
Their restaurants attracted a wide range of people and were huge successes. CPK in particular was booming in Tumon with both locals and tourists. So they decided to sign a lease a little over 2 years ago to open a bigger location in the island's capital. When the pandemic hit, they were already at the point of no return.
We were well over $1 million into the project when we realized that, wow, this thing is going to be an extended issue for the world and obviously for Guam.
It was something that Talai says was hoping to fizzle out, but it was soon apparent that the lockdown turned out to be more than what anyone was expecting. He's been in the restaurant business his whole life, but nothing could have prepared him for this.
For restaurants, this has become the perfect storm. Yeah, it's scary.
That's a terrifying situation.
It really is. It really is.
With Guam's economy mainly relying on international tourism, they found their main revenue stream gone. Their prayers for support for their employees may have been answered with the introduction of the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. However, Talai says they now face a big labor shortage.
It's very difficult to get people to re-enter the workforce because of they were getting some nice benefits on PUA. Plus, a lot of employees have children or family situations where they couldn't leave home and come back to work. All understandable reasons, but at the end of the day, for restaurants, it was tough to get employees back. That's kind of easing a little bit right now, but it's still a challenge.
But thankfully, they were able to convince some of their key employees to return. And with massive worldwide inflation, one may wonder, how did they stay afloat?
The PPP program, that helped us, a lot, right? Basically, it helped us survive, to be quite honest. The GITA grants programs have also helped us.
Talai says they remain cautiously optimistic and continue to have eyes and ears on the international markets. He thanks everyone for their support as they continue to work through these challenging times.
We always try to deliver the best, product and service. We work hard at that every day. So we really appreciate their loyalty and support for our business.
With Inside Business, I'm Tyler Matanani.
Today's Installment of A Healthier You, our experts in the field of treating diabetes talk about how data derived from technology can be used to gather critical data to improve healthcare.
A Healthier You, Making Diabetes History on Guam.
Presented in partnership with Calno Select Care and Paradise Fitness Center.
American Medical Center's Dr. Erica Alford is one of Guam's leading endocrinologists. Born and raised here, she's dedicated to advancing the health and education of island residents. Over the years, she says technology has shifted medicine by leaps and bounds. Dr. Alford recalls a time insulin was delivered through glass vials that had to be boiled before it was administered, and a time when there were no glucose testing kits. The only thing that was used was a dipstick to measure sugar in urine. Technology, she says, has also grown beyond the pricking of one's finger.
There's a little sensor that gets placed right on top of your skin. Depending on the brand, it can be on your abdomen or on your arm. And there's a little tiny filament that is the thickness of about 2 hairs that stays underneath your skin. Now, patients always panic thinking that I'm going to leave a needle underneath their skin, but that does not happen. There is a nice little device that has the sensor already attached to it that contains the needle, where the needle goes in really quickly, leaves the filament behind, and the needle pulls out. So the needle stays here and you toss this device. And so underneath your skin, there's a little tiny filament that continuously checks your blood sugar. And depending on the device, there may or may not be a transmitter that tells your reader or your receiving device what your blood sugar is. Now, your receiving device could be your smartphone as well. And the nice thing with the devices that transmit the blood sugars is if your blood sugar is rapidly going down or rapidly going up or too high or too low, it sends you a warning saying, hey, gotta go check your sugar, so that you whip out your phone or your receiver to see what your blood sugar is at the moment.
It also has the ability to alert you through your smartphone when an individual experiences abnormal blood sugar levels. And if you have a child that has been diagnosed with diabetes as a parent, you can also receive a notification. As for Dr. Juan Espinoza, the guiding principle over his work over the past decade has been that data and technology has the potential to narrow the health gap faced by underserved communities all over the world.
What's really incredible is that diabetes is this uniquely quantifiable disease, both the disease process, so the changes in blood sugar, as well as the treatment. We can really measure in very, very finite, granular ways. And so it's this kind of fascinating opportunity to really bring to bear advanced techniques in data gathering and data analytics to really change the life of one person with it. But if you go beyond one person, then we start thinking about what is the health of communities? What is the health of the population?
Dr. Espinoza is AI Health's Chief Medical Officer and Chairman of AI Health Clinical and Technical Oversight Board. AI Health will be conducting a validation study on Guam. The company specializes in using artificial intelligence and Internet of Things to provide simple healthcare solutions that work in real world today. Tomorrow we'll continue our series on the future of diabetes technology.
A Healthier You, Making Diabetes History on Guam.
Presented in partnership with Calno Select Care and Paradise Fitness Center.
And now, as he is each and every day, here's Uncle King Conception with today's Chamorro News Update.
Buenos updates to get some to be Chamorro ni KUAM News. Presenta ni Familian Mito gi First Hawaiian Bank. Nurun report KUAM gipangin mate si magasi grupon man nabibiso na medico siya para gobyerno si Dr. Nathaniel Berg amisan na siniatali rin ba ni renekto na reglamento siya para COVID-19 na pandemic. Sigon statemento gininadilop i gobyerno sa segundo gobyerno sa maninabiba ni numeron maninadin no este na setnod no siya ribahagwi. Ilang statemento na giinas kayo ni Departamento sa Salud Publiko sa Sebastian Sociat a Physicians Advisory Group sa ni pamalo siya ni mabibiso i gobyerno siya siyempre publiko manananggay hinasan siya na regulasyon giman mamela na diya siya. Mas asunto, the Superior Court of Guam si Anthony Parteco Camacho, 27 anos na edad, sa nitulunya Augusto Borja Camacho Jr., 29 anos na edad, sa mananong giman ng Magistrates na West, Benjamin Sison, para hiningo ka arraignment. Toridos maplisihan not guilty gimatsakan niya. Si Anthony sa matsakin na manyaki automobit, minatres grado na robbery, yan na su identifikasyon ni automobit, malago gipreso ni felony, zan possession niya di schedule 2 na beneno, zan manyaki. Si Augusto sa matsaki pod manyaking kareta, sa minatres grado na robbery. During ni por KUIM, malago si Anthony gisagan konarentina gi DOC, giza Mangilaw. Gazi 12 oras na linibriya sa mobile gas station giza Adelub, manaki kareta gi SJ Market giza Harmon, jan lisensyang kareta gin ni Tow Pros giza Harmon Lokwi. Masoda lusot tumus gifyo ni Benson Hardware Store giza Maiti, za maresta ta ni Lunia Agosto. Yutumu na sunto para pago na webes gin ni KUM News gifyo sa Moro, tiwa mamatoy tempo na sinya ho mamok sa binado. Ibi 191 no tinigi Senador Clint Rigel. Sa sedi bedado ni Makoni Pinesca gialum tano para mapoksa ilo debilok ki matatisi reglamento siya para salud publiko. Igagi na lai pau sa sedi na sinya ho gaiga binado. Lutu masedi ang ginadzanong koni sa ialum tano. Iring Bill 194 ni tinigi Rigel sana maslabiano makuli gaston inspection para di invasive species. No makobla ni flat fee para di siya mahalom na trustees paraguahan sa mahungog lokoy gi hearing. I Departamento na Agrikultura sa RCCBST siya na fee para gasto niya biosecurity na dibisyon. Intensyon niya lai sa ma-establish sa gimina 31 na legislatura sa para makulihi 2,000,000 pesos na fee siya. Logi managahit kasi 600,000 pesos sa ma-RCCB. Sa guahado siya na tauto itiman malagom manapasi like niya si Rizal. Para Guam News Network, Guausican Conception. Yasuto gifinut sa Moro sa presenta za ninafatto ni Familiang Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore. Stop on by and visit our showroom today. We offer everyday low prices on all major outdoor power equipment like bush cutter, chainsaw, power washer, generators, and more. Need service, repair, maintenance? Well, check out Guam's best superstore only at Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, located in Barragata along Army Drive between Submarina and Besta Market. Call 735-7446 for more information. Now shipping to surrounding islands. Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage. With generations of Filipinos calling Guam home, KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city, featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC.
We all know that a healthy lifestyle is important to prevent chronic diseases and long-term illnesses and boost mental health. It's difficult to determine exactly which healthy habits are worth investing in to live longer and healthier lives. But FHP is here to help. Tune into The Link every Tuesday for FHP Hafa Health Tips, brought to you by Take Care. Helpful advice about healthy lifestyle choices that will have a big difference in your health from the medical experts at FHP Clinic. FHP Hafa Health Tips on The Link every Tuesday is brought to you by Take Care.
Uno Mixed. We're mixing it up on the last Thursday of every month with a look at lifestyle, entertainment, food, and so much more on the stations, networks, and digital platforms of KUAM Communications. Uno Mixed is presented to you by Docomo Pacific, Better Together, and Pepsi, That's What I Like.
1 in 6 people on Guam are affected by diabetes. The terrible impact of the disease on the island has only been amplified by the COVID-19 pandemic, as many of those hospitalized and those we've lost had pre-existing underlying conditions like diabetes. As November is Diabetes Awareness Month, KUAM News has partnered with AI Health to raise awareness for this disease that affects so many of us and to showcase a number of ways to prevent, treat, and care for those with diabetes. Join us for AI Health's A Healthier You, Making Diabetes History on Guam, a multi-platform campaign on KUAM Communications, including a 6-part series on KUAM News Primetime and Weekend Edition, and our digital media platforms kicking off on World Diabetes Day, Sunday, November 14th. Daily interviews with expert panelists on the link beginning November 15th, and a special interactive town hall meeting on the link with experts from AI Health, with more information on their diabetes validation study and a new level of precision care that aims to create a healthier Guam. A Healthier You, Making Diabetes History on Guam, a look at how diet, exercise, and technological advances in disease monitoring and medical care can have a positive impact on our community.
The Healthier You series on KUAM News is presented in partnership with Calvo Select Care and Paradise Fitness Center.
Get ready to run or ride to 22 with the Miles Challenge. Join the challenge from now till January 31st to rack up those miles on foot or by cycling. Runners can choose from 100, 200, and 300 miles. Cyclists 300, 600, and 900 miles. Go to mileschallenge.com to select your challenge and register today. The Run and Ride to 22 Challenge is brought to you by Uproar, Trench Challenge, Kill Cliff, and KUAM Communications. Donation proceeds to benefit the EMC Cancer Foundation. Guam is good.
Let's get merry during the most wonderful time of the year by making spirits bright. KUAM Communications and Coast 360 want to highlight your decorations and lights by flooding the social media pages of KUAM with your videos and photos. Finish your holiday setup, snap a few shots or video of your delightful display, and send it to us through social media or email them to promotions@KUAM.com. Check out our posts every Friday or tune in to KUAM News Weekend Edition for a special montage of the submissions certain to be making spirits bright with every broadcast. Warmest holiday wishes from KUAM Communications and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
Learn about people and organizations making a difference in our community on the greater good every Wednesday during the link. Building awareness, promoting events, generating change. Find inspiration to seek out the greater good every Wednesday. Listen, watch, stream. Miss the link? Miss a lot. Presented by Jay Goodman, a happiness company, and Guam Windward Memorial. Celebrate life.
This holiday season, we're once again bringing together the island's largest array of local vendors for a special innovative way for you to shop, broadcast, and go digital with Team KUAM. Join us on Sunday, November 28th for the annual Christmas Pops Virtual Holiday Market at 12 noon on KUAM TV8 and the KUAM News Facebook page, plus additional show times through December 11th. We'll also be featuring vendors daily with posts with QR codes and links on our social media pages beginning Monday, November 29th, and hosting an exclusive Christmas Pops website for your one-stop shopping. It's a safe and convenient way for you to shop local this holiday season. To reserve your spot, email promotions@KUAM.com today. Virtual space is limited.
Presented by UOG School of Business and Public Administration, JA Guam, inspiring youth, and the Guam Visitors Bureau, making Guam a better place to live, work, and visit.
Join KUAM every Wednesday on Primetime for Inside Business. It's our new weekly segment featuring the struggle of Guam's businesses during this global pandemic. We'll hear from industry leaders about the difficult decisions they were forced to make to implement cutoffs, layoffs, and shorten hours just to survive. It's the other side effect of COVID, the island's economic crisis. We'll also feature new businesses that managed to open and thrive during these challenging times. It's Inside Business every Wednesday on KUAM News Primetime.
Yes, wishing a happy birthday to Hannah Mendiola and Therese Flores.
Happy birthday, Hannah and Therese.
You ready?
Wait. We got Mike in studio. Mike can sing.
Mike is a good singer.
I've been to karaoke with Mike. So, Mike, you want to take the...
Mike, do you know this song, Happy Birthday? He's not singing.
So he's from JFK, so he'll take the high part.
Islanders,
JFK's
right? Yep.
Vivace, like their choir is phenomenal.
He looks like he could hit the high notes.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Natural tuning fork.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Hannah Mendiola and Therese Flores, and everyone else's birthday it is today, too. Happy birthday to you. May the dear Lord bless you. May the dear Lord bless you. May the dear Lord bless Hannah Mendiola and Therese Flores and everyone else who's having a birthday today, too.
Happy birthday to you. Harmony.
7:09. Good morning. It's Thursday, November 18, 2021.
No charge if we went out of key.
That's it, guys. It's on you. Jay, testing, vaccination, booster, all that stuff?
Yes, sir. Community testing today. If you want to know your status, and we certainly encourage you to do exactly that, testing is being held from today through Saturday from 8 to 12 at the Old Carnival Grounds over in Teason. Remember, it is free. Tests are administered on a first-come, first-served basis. 4 people only per vehicle, please. And please bring ID just so public health can make sure that they get your information. You need a photo ID. Once again, 8 to 12 at the Old Carnival Grounds in Teason. Free COVID-19 booster vaccination village clinics. Today, the 18th, 8:30 in the morning until 1:30 in the afternoon over in Tamuning at the Tamuning Senior Citizen Center for residents of that central villages. So we're going to have Mayor Luis Rivera of Tatuha coming up later on in the program. But please, if you are from Tamuning and you would like to get the booster clinic, please go there and take advantage of that. Because today is Thursday, the UOG Caval Fieldhouse will not be administering the vaccines. However, if you're up north, come to the Dedido Community Health Center, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. They'll be getting it done there. And then Saturday, of course, there is that vaccination clinic. You can register online for the vaccination clinic from 4 in the afternoon until 7 over at the FD Phoenix Center. Go to guamcovid.com.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, guys, so we're anticipating, I mean, everybody's saying that these restrictions are going to be lifted tomorrow, right? But you know how that goes. There's been times where we've been told stuff was going to be announced shortly, and then it stretches into long.
Yeah. I mean, what we know as far as like the sequence of activities that are probably going to happen. The governor, I believe, comes back tonight from her mainland trip, right?
Okay.
And then the physician advisory group meets tonight, assumedly, because it is Thursday, like they normally do. And then they'll probably make a recommendation, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow.
What I heard was that public health's working on the guidance, and so remember these announcements will come out, and then public health has to work on the guidance based on whatever the parameters are. But I think this time they're trying to get public health to square everything away, so when they make the announcement, I don't know, maybe it'll be just instant.
Sorry, real quick. Speaking of public health, there is going to be a data drop with Dr. Ann live stream that's happening at 10:30 today, and we're going to share that on our timeline on Facebook, so you guys will be able to watch that and see what the latest COVID data is, because cases have been dropping down. The CAR score has been trending downward consistently. We have suffered some fatalities in our community, which we still, the prayers and thoughts, and we grieve for the people that we've lost and their families. But it's going to be interesting to see what Dr. Ann Pobutsky, the territorial epidemiologist, says about the data over the last 2 weeks.
Right. And guys, if we are going to open everything up, and we don't know what's going to happen, but I'm hearing that they're going to, and we don't know. Again, it's up to the governor. But are they still going to keep these like unvaccinated restrictions in place? I don't know. And we're going to have to wait and see. But if we do open things up, guys, and I know you want to have a Thanksgiving and a Christmas, but like Dr. Hoa says, if you got your vax anywhere from like 4 to 6 months ago, then you should probably get the booster for that added. I think when you get the boost, it brings your efficacy up to like 90%, preventing the more serious illness, right? Because a lot of these vaccinated people end up in the hospital. What we're hearing is that they're already on the
tail end of their the juice that their vaccine has, right? So there isn't really a booster campaign. I mean, this is it. Go get your booster shot, guys. So yeah, I would just say that if we're going to open things up, make sure you're protected. Protect yourself, because we've seen this time and time again where we open things up. Some would say a little too quickly, and then we're right back where we started from. And that's exactly what happened with this last surge that we're now. I mean, thank God, really. I mean, the cost of lives, it was just tragic. 713. We talk about lifting restrictions, though. Someone who has made the ask, Senator Frank Blas Jr. had written a letter. I think it was to Acting Governor Josh Tenorio. And you,
yes. Yeah. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Senator. So you wrote a letter and you were like, "Hey, Joshy, you know, Auntie Lou's off island. Can you lift this thing while she's gone?" You know what I mean? And did you ever get a response? Because I feel like no one likes answering your letters.
You know, I don't know. Well, probably the announcement of the restrictions going to be lifted hours after I wrote the letter is the response to my letter. Okay. Not in anything official, nothing. But I'm going to take that their announcement of going to be lifting restrictions soon is the response to that letter. That said, too, is you know whether or not the governor is on island, you know, or off island. I can't wait and pen a letter and wait to pen a letter until she gets back. Obviously, there's a hierarchy that exists, and in Governor Lou's absence, there's Acting Governor Josh Tenorio, and he happened to be the head guy at the top. The guy at the top when this letter needed to go out. So I needed to make sure that it was appropriately addressed. That said, he's a part of the administration, and I wanted the administration to be able to take a look at the mandates and the orders, and look at what's been going on, and assess as to whether or not these will continue to be necessary. And if they're not necessary, let's rescind them or reduce them. And I'm glad that hopefully tomorrow. I mean, I would hope it'd be today, but from what I gather from a lot of people, things will happen tomorrow. Right. I hope that there will be some meaningful reductions or rescinding of some of those orders.
Senator, do you think that because the restrictions that are currently in place, again, it's only the vaccinated can gather because we're the chosen ones. We can gather 10 indoors or 25 outdoors. Unvaccinated are not allowed to gather at all. And they're also not allowed to go eat out, to dine in the restaurant, to go work out at the fitness gym. Can't go to the dance studio, yada, 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 right? So do you think that those restrictions were effective at all during this surge, because they were in place for quite a while?
And I think it was at the time that it was put in place. Again, I'm not going to argue, and I'm not going to armchair quarterback, things that had to occur in a situation where it was emergent. My concern here is, okay, does it continue to be an emergency that you're going to have to that these mandates have to continue to exist, or that these mandates have to be that they have to be in place? Yeah. And so it goes back to, okay, first off, we've been at this for about 19 months, okay, and as the former Homeland Security Advisor, one of the things that you'd like to be able to do once you're hit with a crisis and emergencies is try to get things under control, within a certain time period, and then move back to some sense of normalcy or some sense of adaptation, as you're beginning to recover and as you get through this. All right, and after 19 months, the state of emergency that we continue to be under, there are things that can be done with the powers that the office of the governor has, or the governor has, that really doesn't need to be under the state of emergency. Okay? And there are some things that, as a result of the state of emergency, as a legislator, I don't have the ability to be to question, or to say, yay or nay, or to agree, or to say, hey, how can what more can we do to help? Or governor, we're going to help you. We like to be able to help you in this side. Nothing takes away from the powers that she has to be able to protect it. But sometimes those powers, I feel some of those powers have gone a little bit too far.
Oh, you don't say. Would you be talking about, like, are you talking about maybe like emergency procurement, sole source procurement, that kind of thing, maybe?
Yeah, it's things like that. Okay, you're right. The emergency procurements. And unfortunately, some of those things continue to happen. For what reason? Okay, you want an emergency procurement because you need to procure something right now because the situation occurred right now. But we're procuring for things that have been occurring over the last few months, and you could have used the regular procurement cycle or process to be able to obtain some of these things.
Yeah, look at this,
okay?
And that's what I wanted to ask you about. Was this? Did you ever get a response from? Hold on. To your letter to the AG. I remember we had talked about this, and then he had come on and he said, yeah, his office had been in contact with you. But can you kind of bring us up to speed on, because I know you wrote a letter to the Attorney General, and you were basically like, hey, did you see that audit that BJ Cruz did? And there's a lot of red flags in there. Are you going to do anything about it? And
no, well, I tell you, I've had discussions with BJ Cruz himself, on not just on the letter, on what he had done with the audit, and also my query and my request to the AGs. And, after, I guess, BJ, he forwarded me the link to your story initially, with a little quip in the bottom. Says, like, I think you made him mad. And I think I didn't write the audit, you did. Okay. And so, that's the way around answer to, I haven't received any information yet.
Okay. What about, have you heard, Senator, anything about the consolidated quarantine isolation facility? Because we haven't heard anything new.
I haven't heard anything. And I think that, again, it goes back to, some of these restrictions, mandates, orders, directives that, we got to take a look at. I want to give them the opportunity to be able to do this, in this because I tell you, I'm not going to hold back any secrets here. There's the ability to be able, and hopefully been able to convince enough of my colleague that there are measures that could currently exist, within, the agenda, the documents that we have that will allow us, provided the number of votes, to stop this. To put an end to this, and then to provide, and if the governor would like to continue, here's the process that you're going to need to continue this. But till that time, here's an opportunity to go. And then Lieutenant Governor, let's have that discussion, or let's, in your own court, let's move on some of these things so that we don't have to take those actions.
Right.
And I think that there is enough right now, a momentum, if you will, amongst my colleagues that we can move forward in some actions.
So there's the procurement of the combined isolation quarantine facility, and then there's also the emergency procurement for the financial management system, which we're going on a year of this being under an emergency procurement, and that's kind of exactly what you're talking about.
I think the financial management system, once it was brought up and everything, if I remember correctly, first off, Edward Burns says, okay, at that point in time we had that authority, but if you look at the orders, the executive orders, they know it, and there's none of the executive orders since then continue to provide that authority to be able to purchase that under that under that process. Okay, as a matter of fact, it was rescinded, so that they're gonna have to go back to the regular procurement process on that.
Wow, that's interesting. I had another question here. I don't know if you saw this story by KUAM News, the STEPS story. And this is relative to above step recruitment that was happening at the Guam Memorial Hospital. I know you know, Senator, that above step recruitment it's meant to recruit hard to fill positions. And I'm thinking in my mind mostly like, a pathologist or, like a child brain surgeon or, a medical or a cannabis computer system operator, something that we don't have a lot of here on Guam, something that's hard to attract. And so the idea behind this is you would say, hey, there's this really badass doctor, but, he's making this much over there. So can we recruit him above step and give him whatever, 15 grand more? And they'll say, wow, we really need that child neurosurgeon. There's a lot of kids that need brain surgery here. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull the trigger on that. And then, it's a happy ending. But apparently we're looking at these documents and some of the other above-step recruitments that we've seen over the last couple of years. It almost looks like they recruited above step to put existing employees kind of in these new positions. And we're talking about not just one step, Senator. We're talking about they will try and recruit above step from a step 1 to, in some cases, we saw like a step 18. So that's 17 steps. You don't even need an elevator if you're going to jump that many steps. You know what I mean? We should send these people to the Olympics for long jump because they're jumping all kinds of steps. And it's unfair to the hardworking classified workers, right, who don't have the opportunity to apply for these jobs, who don't have the opportunity to jump, 18 steps in any given anything. So what are your thoughts on that? And do you think that this system is being abused?
Well, again, it goes back to the state of emergency and the ability to be able to forego or, to put processes, normal processes aside, for the purpose of, in some cases, hiring, procuring, and otherwise. And, but then also, if you can recall, the conversations previous to the budget discussions was the need for funding to be able to to bring in the nurses and those medical specialists on board, and then to provide the nurses their basically a pay raise. And there was a full blown discussion on first off, why is it necessary? And then more so is, okay, where's the money? Okay, how are we going to be able to accomplish this? I thought, first of all, you're right. Okay, we need to be able to fill these, these medical positions, these nurses and these medical professionals. Yeah, you're right. We're going to need to be able to, so that we can retain, the expertise that we have, and provide these nurses, this raise, if you will, and then turn around and see, wait a minute, but now we're hiring at above step in non-medical, obviously administrative, clerical, or operational, nothing that was discussed as a necessity, a need a few months ago, and now we're doing it in this fashion, and now this is being done. I understand the need to be able to run an operations, okay? But again, it goes back, for me, one of the things early on in this legislature, I introduced a bill that would restrict the hiring of personnel to just those positions that are necessary to get us out of state of emergency. When you're in a state of emergency, once the state of emergency is lifted, then you can go back to the normal hiring process. But in the state of emergency, this is all that we can hire for good cause. You want all the money that you've got to be able to go and deal with this emergency. Obviously, you know, the powers that be in the legislature, would like to hold, keep that that bill in abeyance, but that bill was made for, situations like this. What does that got to do with the state of emergency? Let's stop. First, let's focus on what's in front of us. Right now, what's in front of us is this this emergency that we're supposed to be continuing to face. In the meantime, if it doesn't exist, then let's get out of this. But while it exists, focus and concentrate on this first. So going back to my take on this thing, no, let's focus on the state of it. If you can come before us and say, to deal with the state of emergency, this is why we need to hire this individual at the above, and the way to be able to attract them is above step, because we're competing with other places, in our region and in the world. Okay, then then there's the justification. But just saying that we're going to do this, and you can't tell me that I can't do this because I've got this power under the state of emergency. There's something definitely wrong.
But let's look at some of these. And Senator, I was just overwhelmed with the amount of healthcare providers, and I'm not talking about like insurance people. I'm talking about real, actual frontline nurses, medical staff, people who go to school for this kind of thing. They're just so upset by this. They feel betrayed. They feel overlooked. They feel unappreciated. When we look at some of these positions that we're talking about, it's not, or like I said, a pediatric neurosurgeon or whatever. Food and beverage manager, normally starting at a step 1 with a $49,000 salary, but hired at step 10, $68,000. I'm sorry, but F&B manager in the hotel don't even make that much. I know food and beverage managers.
Senators make that much.
Yeah, they're making more than the senators. So just see your reaction to that, Senator, and then you go on and you see, okay, a food and beverage manager, and then they also did an above-step recruitment for a hospital chef supervisor. Normally hired step 1, $37,000, but recruited at step 10 with a salary of $51,000. So what I see at GMH is they're creating these positions that I feel are kind of, an F&B manager, okay, fine, but at that salary, like, are you kidding? And then if you have an F&B manager, why would you need a chef supervisor? You know what I mean? It just kind of seems like they're creating new positions to put people in, and they're creating these positions with an increased step. And the people who work at GMH or any of these thousands of jobless people out here who maybe there was one who was an F&B manager who maybe wanted to apply, didn't get to. And so, yeah, I was just really disappointed. I was disappointed.
Well, again, for me, one of the first questions is, what has this got to do with the state of emergency that we're in? How is this going to help us get through this? On normal days, absent a state of emergency, that won't be my first question. But that's obviously my first question. This is because, again, let's not lose focus to what you put the rest of the community under. Okay, the community of this island is supposed to be operating under a state of emergency. Businesses are still struggling. They can't bring patrons in unless they've been vaccinated, show proof of vaccination. Therefore, at least 60 to 70% of their revenues is down, has been reduced. People can't find jobs because of the state of emergency. Some have lost their jobs, as a result of mandates because we're under the state of emergency. Yet the government feels they can continue to work as normal, despite everything else that the community has to continue to endure. Look, and if we are not, if it's not an emergency situation, in some respects, then end it. And let's so that and let's start to look at some of the things that have occurred and whether or not they need to continue to occur. So. Yeah, thanks. You just raised my iron.
Sorry, I got a problem with doing that.
Yeah, you do. But Chris, I think one of the things that you know, why I wrote the letters. Look, there has to be a balance, you know, in the actions that we take to protect the community, and the actions that seem to infringe on our freedoms of choice, you know, and an opportunity to make an informed and necessary decisions. Okay, so in being able to strike that balance, you know, so obviously some of these orders, some of these directives, some of these mandates, you know, have taken away from those that freedom of choice, that opportunity to make an informed decision, that the ability to earn a living, you know, the ability to be able to sustain a business, and all at our community expense, not the government's expense. Okay, which is, you know, unfortunately, it's an us versus them kind of thing. Yeah. And, you know, but, you know, it's not do as I say, not as I do. You know, don't put me on restriction, and then, you know, go out and party, you know, minus the, you know, the attendance restrictions and the social distancing mandate, and put it on you know, on social media, and I'm supposed to feel good about it. You know, well, you know, my nephew can't have, you know, a wedding with 50 of his friends because it's 40 too much. Okay, or, you know, we can't pay proper respects at a funeral, but yet we can do all these other stuff in the guise of it being a government activity. That's not right.
Did you get a look at that ARP expenditure report? And what was your thoughts on that?
No, I have not been able to see that yet.
Well, you're not missing much. It's very general.
You know, is it general? Does it look like the same report that they submitted back in May?
Can you also talk about Sabrina? Sabrina's on the road. She's asking me. She's got a bunch of the LEAP bill. So I know that your LEAP bill is supposed to. Their hearing for it was supposed to be Tuesday, but it was canceled. What happened?
I guess it was in conflict with some other issues that they had. That you know, after my hearing was canceled, you know, they canceled those other things too. You know, that's it. Is, you know, at the end of the day, there's many ways to be able to, for lack of a better term, skin a cat. Okay, there's a vehicle that exists that I can provide, and I can bring forth the arguments presented in my bill, in Bill 216, and see if we can move forward on this. You know, I today, I believe that the bill that I have offered, Bill 216, you know, along with Senators Tony Yada and Chris Duenas, provide the governor with tools necessary to be able to make good on the funding needed by these businesses to continue to stay afloat. You know, it also provides the opportunity for the government to go upwards. You know, of the $50 million that you know, that Bill 214 and the LEAP you know, program has said they're going to be able to provide. Again, you know, all within providing the government the tools to be able to accomplish this. And so I'm not going to fret that, you know, that it's not going to be heard in time for the next session. I do have the opportunity now to bring the discussion on the floor, you know, in the next session, you know, so that, you know, those products and those tools that I presented 216, I can present otherwise. Again, I'm ready for it.
What did you make of the governor's trip to New York? And were you kind of, as a, you know, a lawmaker, as part of the appropriating body, were you comfortable with the kind of like the little information we got about the trip? Because it was very cryptic. When they put out a release, they had put something like, "Oh, they quoted the governor and they said, that she had said that she would only borrow to build or to decrease debt to the people of Guam. And then the next, and this is all Facebook, there was a post of her at Moody's, and she was saying that she had come before these people a couple of years ago and said that she was going to work so hard to eliminate the deficit, which she said she did. And yeah, I mean, it kind of seemed like they were trying to refinance bonds, and there was just, I felt like not a lot of information, like, you know, which bonds, what are we doing? And so were you satisfied, not satisfied, wanting more answers?
I think that, thank you for telling us that, you're somewhere in the world, as opposed to sometimes people go off and you wonder, where they're at. Now the details of the trip, I'm sure that, when they get back, she's going to have briefings with, the rest of the members of her fiscal team and her administration, so that they can prepare a package that can be presented before the legislature, for some of this refinancing or the reductions and whatnot, whether or not, those are going to meet the approval of again, the body that is responsible for the purse strings of the government, that remains to be seen. And so, as with any governor who's taking trips, sometimes, the information is just enough to be able to wet the lips, but not enough to quench the thirst. And you hope that when they get back, that there'll be continued discussions on this thing. I'm again, it's there were discussions early in the year about wanting to be able to refinance, for lower interest rates and whatnot. All right, and yes, we had those discussions. We gave Governor, please, if he can, to help reduce the amounts that the government has to spend, or the people that want to have to spend on these things, do so. But let's have a discussion on this, and so we're going to wait for the discussion. So was it something out of the ordinary, or something that I should be shocked at? No. I'll again, giving them due time to be able to report back on some of the good things that could have occurred in that trip. That's fine.
All right, last question. Have you found a running mate yet?
Have I found a running mate? Why?
Are you still?
I don't. First off, I've had to give up on running. My knees have really hurt, and so I don't really need to have somebody run right next to me. So I'm little.
Okay. Do you have any? Are you considering a run for Adelup? Or what is it the congressman said? Heavily leaning towards at all.
Well, I tell you, one of the things is never say never in politics. Okay, and never say never when you have an opportunity that can possibly lay before you. Okay, I think first off, I wouldn't be truthful if I said is there a conversation on running for other positions? Yes, there is. Okay, what those positions are, and when that decision is going to be made. Right now my focus is on the work that that I have before me, and I don't want my letter to Josh Tenorio, to be marred by, oh, he did that because he's running for this office. No, I did that because I'm representing the people of Guam.
Thank you, Senator.
Real quickly, are you planning on attending the oversight hearing today?
Which oversight hearing?
Isn't it today? The Guam Ancestral Lands Commission related to the return of federal excess land to the government of Guam. Isn't it today? Today's the 18th? Yeah. Oh, it's at 5 p.m. It's with the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission, Department of Labor, status of recent.
It's on my schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on my schedule. But first off, we have a rules meeting at 2:00.
Yeah.
Okay. And if there's anything like the last rules meeting, it may take a look. It may go in a little long.
All right.
All right,
Yes.
Senator.
It's a matter of keeping processes in place.
Yeah.
I feel bad that a food and beverage manager at the hospital makes more than a senator. I
Yeah,
feel
isn't
bad
it?
for you. I feel
Gosh.
bad for you.
Doesn't the communications and marketing director also make more?
Also, yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't make more than a senator
Yeah, at this
nowadays?
point.
I mean, yeah, really.
Yeah, nowadays, and then I get blamed for everything else that everybody doing. So that's life.
That is life. Thank you, Senator. Keep living it.
Thank you, guys.
Right on.
All right.
Okay,
Bye.
Senator Frank Blas Jr. We did get some comments in here, guys. Oh, did we ever? Tony comments in. Thank you, by the way, to our Facebook Live audience here. Tony comments in. I don't agree. What's wrong with my mouse, Jay?
I don't agree with the recent newly generated positions. Why can't they just promote the seasoned employees who have served so many years with experience? Why bypass these certain individuals whom are qualified just to justify a political vote? I can't wait for the next election.
Yeah. But Joe Jerry comments here about Senator Blas. How about when he and other senators voted to give themselves a huge pay raise right after Calvo Tenorio got elected for a second term? How quickly we forget. Dave Duenas comments, it's the norm. It's an election year. Soon got to line up the supporters by pay raises and new hires. There's nothing new about that. It doesn't make it right. What else we got here? Oh, Mike Grace Blas. But this was a comment. Normal's not coming back. Jesus is. Amen. 744. Good morning, Bree.
Good morning.
Let's go in the KUAM News Zoom room where Tatuha Mayor, Tamuning Tumon Harmon Mayor Luis Rivera is. Are you eating corn soup, Mayor?
Today, no. Coffee.
Coffee, okay, because I saw the spoon, and I saw the styrofoam cup, and my mind automatically jumped to corn soup.
That's always a giveaway.
Right? Yeah. Alpha Mayor, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Right on. Boy, that. I see you got your Thanksgiving decorations up.
Very lovely.
Thank you. I have a very spirited team.
Are you guys going to Christmas hard this year, Mayor, since we're looking at probably the restrictions being lifted?
Well, no, they are, with Mayor's Council of Guam, they've already canceled it, and we are putting all our efforts into seeking out for foster families, and helping those in need.
I know you're also having an outreach clinic in the village, right?
Yes, that is going on right now. It's supposed to be starting at 8:30, but there's already a lot of people down at our center right now.
Wow. So the
Get back over there.
No time like the present, right?
Right. So Mayor, just give us the details for the outreach clinic. Who's eligible? What's being offered? How long is it going to run this morning?
Okay, well, we do have a flyer that's out that says, it's for those that are 65 years old or older. And then those who have that have comorbidities, if they have diabetes or high blood pressure, things like that, then they can come in to get the booster shot. And then I was told that, even those that need a first or second dose, they're also welcome to come. Depending on the amount of people here that show up, they're hoping not to turn anyone away and should be able to help everybody that does come out. This is supposed to bring convenience because although it's already being offered at the University of Guam, and other clinics, bringing it closer to home brings convenience to, all those in the neighborhood. So, we're hoping that they're able to come, even those that are able to walk by, walk on over. If there's any need, we ask people to give us a call and let us know if they need homebound service or if they just need transportation, to get here. We'll do all that we can to assist.
I wanted to follow up on whether or not any of the mayors got ESF funds or ARP funds or COVID differential pay.
Well, with the COVID differential pay, we've been submitting in our timesheets and, all that. We're still keeping our time, but, again, with that, we're only getting a certain percent. But as for like any other funds, I mean, we don't see it until they just tell us to, submit in our plans or, our needs for supplies or, things that we need for, to help us get through this pandemic and to continue to operate. So we're doing what we can. A lot of times, we're seeing the need to have to, of course, to pull out of our own pocket and, until such time we can get reimbursed, things like that. So no funding. We're not seeing, I haven't seen the green yet. But, we continue to do what we can to make sure we are following procurement procedures.
So how are you guys doing? Because we did have, I spoke with Mayor Paul McDonald just a couple days ago. And as you know, he had to stop delivering, his staff had to stop delivering the meals to Manumcos because their car went down. And they only have 2 cars and, they're pretty old. And so instead, he has a staff with public health going around on a bus, I think, delivering the meals. What about your office? Are you guys kind of close, like, in terms of...
Okay. Well, we do run into our difficulties of our vehicles going down. And so, where we do what we can to fix it right away. I did hear about Mayor McDonald's issue with not delivering food anymore. That was brought up to my attention yesterday, and with us, we have the senior citizens picking up their meals through our drive-through. Mm-hmm. We do delivery, but then we also have Kloppenberg Enterprises, Turtle Tours, the driver comes out to assist us. We do have personnel also delivering meals, to certain areas, but again, that's where when we say like, we pull out of our pocket, sometimes, a lot of times we're using our own POVs, so that's how we continue to provide the service. Continue to operate.
Wow. Well, I guess, we certainly appreciate that, you and your staff are doing what needs to get done, even without the support from any of the millions of dollars we've gotten in ARP money.
Yeah. The struggle continues, but the commitment has not waned one second.
Yes, we are still awaiting the funds. We are hoping that, it comes through soon so that, we can continue to maintain and repair our facilities, especially with, there was already conversation about our senior citizen center opening up on in January. And so, we continue to discuss all the needs and try to make sure we get things done and really be ready for all of them to come back safely.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there a hearing today on village names?
Yes, there's also that we have this evening together with Dr. Underwood and the commission. That's at 6:00 p.m. He did tell me that it was going to also be combined with residents of Agana Heights. So we are expecting a crowd tonight, a lot of people have been talking about it, how people are, some that are for it, many are against it, so there's many different issues, and tonight is a time to be heard.
And that's interesting because when we had Mayor Paul McDonald on like a couple months ago when this issue was first brought up, Madam Mayor, he was actually saying that he just kind of went around and took like an ad hoc straw poll of his villagers, and a lot of them said, we were born in Agana Heights, we were raised in Agana Heights, we have complete respect and reverence for the old traditions and our language, but we don't want essentially like the soul of our village, you know, to change, because you know this is who we are, and I, you know, completely respect that. Have you any sense of how, I mean, because you're overseeing 3 different villages, is there a consistent message across the board of, you know, Tamuning wants to stay Tamuning, or Tamuning would like to change, or is it the same? Is it varied?
What's the proposed change, Mayor, for your village?
Well, the only proposed name that I heard of was to change it to Apotgwen. You know, so Apotgwen, we call that's the area by Alupang Tower, Alupang Beach Tower on East Agana. And so, you know, that was one proposal that came up, but many others came out and said, no, they don't want it changed. You know, they were born at the Guam Memorial Hospital, which states Tamuning, Guam. So if they change it to Apotgwen, everyone's going to be like, well, where's Apotgwen? Where's it says I was born in Tamuning. A lot of official documents show the name Tamuning, the village Tamuning. And so there was a lot of concerns about having to change all the signage and letterheads, you know, things like that. And, you know, let's not let's not make changes, you know, to things that are not broken. You know, people don't believe it should be done. There's many other issues that we need to deal with, you know, and so everyone that I've been hearing lately was leave it alone.
What do you say, Apotgwen?
Well, that's what one of the names that came up.
And then what about like Tumon? Would it be Tumon?
Tumon, it's supposed to be, they're supposed to use the spelling of it. Yeah. So they're saying that's already a given, that one's going to be changed from Tumon to Tomhom.
And then Hotman, right?
Harmon, that's actually a name.
I know there.
Yeah, and
Hotman. Biba Hotman.
And then again with Harmon, the situation with Harmon is, you know, Harmon Loop is on Derido side. Tamuning has the Harmon Industrial Park area, you know, so everything on the right side. If you're at Two Lovers Point and, you know, looking down Route 16, everything on the right side is under Tamuning Mayor's office, and then on the left side is Derido Mayor's office. So, those are the issues that we look forward to. A long, beautiful day.
Doesn't really seem like you're looking forward to it. It looks like it's going to be very contentious tonight.
Oh, well, let's have them make corn soup so everyone.
There you go. We just gotta. We actually got a hold of a message that I guess Mayor McDonald is sending to different residents, and let me go ahead and read this out here. Message from Mayor McDonald, Hafaday residents. I will be in attendance at the public hearing scheduled for tomorrow evening.
Which is actually tonight.
Yeah, which is tonight. Please know that I stand strong in supporting what the majority of our residents want, which is to keep our village name, Agana Heights. The residents spoke loud and clear at our May 20th public hearing held in our community. In fact, yes, Senator Teletaitagui agreed that the residents spoke and verbally supported us on no change. Please join me, our Municipal Planning Council members and staff tonight, 6 p.m. at the Tamuning Senior Center, so that we can remind Dr. Underwood and the Commission that we stand firm in our voices to keep our village name Agana Heights.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well. Tell us how you really feel.
Well, that's a wonderful letter, and you know, again, I haven't seen many letters of support.
I see.
All the ones I've been seeing and hearing are for it to be left alone.
Right. Mayor, wanted to ask because you know that a little bird told us that restrictions are probably going to be lifted by the end of the week. Have you heard anything? Because you know you're in a big like business district. Has anyone from Adelup Public Health said, "Hey, this is what's going on, Mayor. Get ready"?
No, I have not heard anything from Adelup in regards to the lifting of restrictions.
Are you cool with them? They tell you stuff? You're cool with them? They tell you stuff, or?
Yes, I talk with many of them all the time. It's just that has not been our topic. You know, the thing is, bottom line for me too is, you know, I'm out there with a lot of people all the time, and so I just ask that everybody respect each other and continue to social distance. Even when I see people that I love and I just want to hug and greet them, you know, hello and all that, I have to do it from a distance and, you know, bow down, nyora, to my aunties and uncles and, you know, family and friends. And it's like, you know, we don't know, we cannot see this, you know, this disease. And so, yes, we can still gather outside and do our hula and Zumba and exercise and all that, but, you know, just stay the distance and please don't sneeze or cough on me or anything, or, you know, with each other. So, people are still out there meeting. I'm still going to church and I see how packed the church is, you know, masses. It's sad that a lot of people get, you know, they get blocked from coming in because, you know, it's already at capacity, you know. So even like a family and friends of mine, they'll tell me, you know, after mass, like, man, we were stuck outside. They wouldn't let us go in because it's, you know, it's already at full capacity. So, and, you know, and I know that I had a lot of room next to me for my own family members, you know, to come sit by me, but they couldn't come in, you know. So, you know, I'm glad that, you know, they're really monitoring, you know, things like that and allowing people to stay safe.
Well, Mayor, I just have one final question. Looking a couple of weeks down the road, Mayor Alec told us when he was here, I guess maybe about a week and a half ago, that it's in a few weeks, each of the village districts or each of the island districts are going to have like a little bit of a Christmas display contest and everything. So when it comes to capturing the spirit of Tamuning, Tuman, Harmon, I mean, you've got that beautiful mural that's like right across the street from your office on the tennis court that says "We are Tatuha." But how do you actually combine like the diversity of those three villages and, you know, what they bring and, you know, the different cultures and the different vibes that they have to encapsulate that and you know, bring forth the holiday spirit?
Well, I do have a planning team that is putting this together, you know, to join the competition. And so, you know, again, I don't have their full ideas of what we're gonna do, but I'm sure, you know, it'll be awesome. You know, they always do something great. So we're looking at having that contest judging. They're gonna do the judging December 11 and 12 that weekend. So, you know, we're still in the planning stages. I couldn't tell you right now what exactly it's gonna be, but we just hope that it spreads good cheer and it helps a lot of people with their emotions, you know, what the anxieties that they're facing at this time. You know, and, you know, just where we are located, you know, on Route 1 and Route 14, right at the corner, you know, we want to always make sure that we have, you know, something beautiful and, you know, and some wonderful to share. And, you know, I really, I'm very blessed, you know, when a lot of people call us and they tell us, you know, that they really appreciate, you know, the decorations or the signage that we put out there, or, you know, things like that, because, you know, it warms their heart, even if they're not from, you know, our village, they're not residents here, but many people traverse through our communities. And so it's important that, you know, we do that. We continue to participate. Well,
you know, Mayor, I still consider you my mayor. I lived in Tuman for 11 wonderful years, and, you know, I still consider it a home. I really, really am looking forward to seeing what you guys have for us.
Thank you. I hope to see you guys. Come out. Yeah. Come out and join us, and you know, enjoy the park. Like I said, you know, many times it's you know, a lot of people drive by our park, but you know, you'll feel the difference when you actually walk through it. And, you know, it's a nice big area. And, you know, many more people are coming out to enjoy it and just walk around and, you know, walk the path and just see the busy traffic going by. You know, it's different, and it gets really peaceful and enjoyable many times. It's just unfortunate when, you know, Others, we have a select few that will come and leave their trash behind, stuff like that. But we have to always be on top of it and find out who they are and help them learn, where the trash cans
Help
are.
them learn. Tealing their ears. Yeah, that's a quick way to learn them. Thank you, man.
Suspend them from participating in the Zumba. That'll teach them.
We'll see you, Mayor. Good luck today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Enjoy your corn soup.
Enjoy your day.
Okay. There
Stay
you go.
healthy.
That's what she said. Corn soup.
So could this possibly be one of the last times we actually say Tamuning or Tuman or Harmon? Maybe. Who knows?
I don't know. You never know.
Yeah. I guess we'll find out.
Hutman. It's 8:02. The link is proudly brought to you by Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, ITNE, and Jack in the Box. Again, it is 8:02, and let's go ahead and jump over to. Hold on. Let's go ahead and jump over to KUAM.
Nothing's wrong with your radio. That's just Chris.
Yes, that's it. Welcome back to the link, KUAM TV. Good morning on you. Buenas bananas a todos. It's November 18, 2021, Thursday.
We're coming to you live in Harmon.
Yes.
And that's what we're called for at least
now.
At least for another day.
I like Hutman though. Good morning, Sabrina.
I just realized Harmon we do not have our own parish. Or at least a parish church, right?
Oh, that's right. We're not really. I mean, it's like, are we a village? Kind of, yeah.
We're kind of like subdivision is, we're bigger than a subdivision.
Well, I just work here. Okay. I just work in this village. I don't have, I'm not from here.
The greater Dedido area.
Yeah, there you go. It's 8:04, Thursday, November 18th. Good morning. Coming up, Senator Joanne Brown, and we'll continue our week-long symposium on diabetes today with Dr. David Klonoff and Dr. Francisco Pascual. These guys are some big heavy hitters in the world of diabetes treatment, Jay.
Yeah, these are technologists. They are physicians. They have in many cases directly revolutionized a lot of the technologies, the hardware. They've given rise to the software, the techniques that are used to not only treat diabetes but to diagnose it at a very, very early stage. And you know what's the really interesting thing, and you're going to see this in the piece, is as accomplished as both of these gentlemen are and everything like that, they said it all comes down to the fundamentals. Are you getting enough exercise? What are you eating? Are you monitoring your levels and everything? And they're like, that kind of stuff, far surpasses like any technology that's out there. So we're really looking forward to you guys watching this piece because it's
right.
Really good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the technology is there. The advancements have, leaps and bounds over the last few years, but you still got to get in and do the work, right? And watch what you're putting in your body.
And when you guys hear about this wire and ball thing, I mean, Bree, we were just like floored. It's amazing what they're doing.
Yeah, they're talking about the future of technology that's being worked on for diabetics.
Continuous glucose monitoring. I said that's the thing.
Right on. And this will do away. Gone will be the days of pricking your finger, guys.
There's actually technology for that too.
Yeah, because I'm still pricking. I still prick my finger, and it's just a little prick.
With the pen, right?
With the little lancet.
Yeah, the lancet.
Yeah, and it's just a little prick. It's the teeniest little prick, but I just get nervous knowing that it's going to be pricking me. You know what I mean? And every time I just tense up, and it hits, and you're like, don't tell anyone, guys. Am I still a real man? I am, right? It's just a little prick. It hurts, okay? And you see the blood, it gets to you.
It doesn't hurt. It just kind of...
It hurts me.
Oh, okay then.
But also for the fact is, Sabrina and I have directly cared for our parents, who have had diabetes, and my dad, and and not just the how scary it can be, uncomfortable, inconveniencing, but also it meant, like, for my dad, right? I had to do that for, like, do that for 5 years, with multiple fingers and everything like that. So the long-term effect too is, I mean, it does wear on you. So these new techniques, I mean, and they use it, like, it makes it fun just to be able to send this stuff to your smartphone and actually see your levels for A1C and glucose and everything like that in real time.
When I was pregnant, I had gestational diabetes, and so I had to do the pricking of the finger, write it down in my little book. Yeah, make the log, and then turn it in over at SDA. And I couldn't eat meat. It was, when you're pregnant.
Were you like me? Am I just a little baby, or when you get pricked, do you feel like you're tensing up, waiting for that prick?
Yeah, I get that way.
Bree freaks out with eardrops.
Yeah,
so
she's actually a big baby. But I was excited. I mean, this sounds weird. I was not excited, but when I went to go get the little, what do you call that? The pricking thing?
The Lancet?
The monitor.
Call it the pricking thing.
Yeah, so when I got the pricking thing,
machine.
I was kind of excited because I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty neat. Because if you think about it, it's neat. You prick your finger, you get a little thing of blood, and then you put that on that little thing there, and it goes down in that whole computer, and it actually reads your... You guys okay over there?
There's a key phrase that keeps being said that everybody's like giggling.
Come on, guys.
Because
it's
of course
just a
we're all
little
in the
prick.
third grade here.
Yeah, just a little prick. Never hurt anyone.
Yeah.
Except me. But I was excited because I was like, oh, I get to prick myself and I get to read my blood sugar and stuff. And it was, but then when I really thought about it, I was like, wait a minute, this is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Guys.
And I even posed a question to the two doctors is when we first start the interview, which again, you're going to see at 9 o'clock. And I said, I mean, these are guys, who have really, again, they've really taken the practice of diabetes treatment like to the next level. And I said, gentlemen, it's these methods that we've been doing now for, for decades. It's really, really crude. I mean, is there no better way to do this than to shove
a little prick,
a needle in you?
Yeah, it's terrible. That's what I'm saying.
Can I just say when I did have gestational diabetes and they changed my whole diet? I was so good at my diet.
Yeah.
I was losing weight while I was pregnant.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then they told me, you need to start eating meat again.
Every time you share your story about your pregnancy journey and everything like that, you've got so many people that are just like, Sabrina, I hate you so much because you lost weight when you were pregnant. You were only in labor for all of 26 minutes.
Well, no. I mean, I was at the hospital, 24 hours about. I just slept the whole time.
Which is not at all surprising because you're like a total rock star.
It's 8:09, guys. Jay, we had a little correction because you said that we don't have a village church here in Hutman. We actually do.
We have Iglesia Ni Cristo.
No, we have a Catholic church here in Harmon. St. Andrew Kim. Yeah, he's the patron saint of Harmon. It's over here by Cossulas. Yeah, someone was Betty Ann was messaging me that there is a Catholic church in Hutman.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I was mistaken.
You were. You got to say 10 Hail Marys now,
okay,
bro.
Okay, yeah. So if
10 Hail Marys and 10 squats.
And
10 squats.
Okay, so if you grew up where I was,
pricks.
Okay, Mike's here. Mr. Fitness. He's gonna do the 3-finger push-up. Yeah. No. I thank you, Betty Ann, for pointing that out. Like, if you stay on like this side of Harmon Loop Road and you look like on right across the street from us, and again next to
also Mayor Louise said, "Can you please tell Jason to please check his facts before he opens his big mouth?" No, she didn't say that.
Is that a direct quote?
No, she didn't say that. She said, St. Andrew Kim Catholic Church is in Harmon behind the Cossulas area.
Yeah, so if you see like across the street and there's that one court over there in
go
Liguan Terrace,
and you show and take a picture.
Yeah, and you can see the sanctuary, the chapel from over there. That's right. All right.
You need to go there.
I totally whiffed on that
zoom
one.
in from there, Jay.
Go there after the show and say 10 Hail Marys, 5 Our Fathers, because you were laughing every time I said little prick.
Yeah, man.
Okay. You have to pay
and
your
also
penance.
they're probably like, well, it's nice that you finally recognize your church. You're welcome here anytime to attend Mass. And by the way, can you make like a pretty substantial donation?
Right on. Hey, it's 8/11, Thursday, November 18th.
We need an aircon too.
Let's go ahead and get into our 8 o'clock look at the news.
Have we heard about it? Like if St. Joseph's Church, like if they raise enough money for the aircon?
I'll find out. We'll get Father
Jojo.
Jojo on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, the 340th Jubilee this year for the in Alhambra.
Viva San Jose.
Viva.
Right on. It's 8:11. Let's go ahead and get into our 8 o'clock newscast again, brought to you by Pacific Points. here with the very latest from the KUAM News team. Sabrina Salas-Matanani. Good morning, Sabrina.
Half a day, everybody. Speaker Therese Terlahi will be holding an oversight hearing today with the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission and the Department of Land Management on the status of recent or pending transfers, deeds, leases, or licenses between the government of Guam and the federal government, including the Department of Defense. Original landowners are encouraged to watch. As reported, DOD is in the process of returning hundreds of acres of excess federal lands to the local government. Through a FOIA request, KUAM was able to obtain a January 2021 letter to the governor from the federal government, which provided an updated list of 231 acres in the process of being returned to GovGuam and 95 acres of land subject to potential transfer. Also listed 6,225 acres of submerged properties. The biggest parcels currently in the process of being returned to GovGuam: Parcel 7 of the former CB Base Camp Covington, totaling 60 acres, 15.5 acres at the PD Power Plant and Substation, 13.3 acres at Tangisan Beach Park, 6 acres at the Agana Diesel Power Plant, 5.5 acres at USO Beach Park, and 5 acres at Marbo Cave. As for land subject to potential transfer, 102 acres making up portions of the Eagles Field area, which the governor intends to use for the billion-dollar healthcare complex. Other parcels include 23 acres at the Tumon Tank Farm, 5 west of Route 3, and 2 acres next to the Nimitz Reservoir. Among others, also listed as potential to transfer were 6,225 acres of submerged lands from Hilaan, Asan, and Tingisan. Guam law states properties returned to GovGuam from the federal government are to be returned to original landowners. However, according to Guam Ancestral Lands Director John Birch, in the event returned lands are kept by GovGuam for continued public benefit, original landowners or their heirs are to be compensated via the land bank. That oversight hearing is scheduled for 5 p.m. You can watch it live on the legislature's YouTube channel. No word yet from Adelup on when the easing of restrictions will happen, but as we reported, the governor's office has indicated it will be in the coming days. The Joint Information Center, in the meantime, reports 34 people are hospitalized for COVID. There are 2 pediatric admissions. 5 patients are receiving ICU level of care, while 3 are on a ventilator. The JIC also reports that out of the 34 hospitalizations, 20 are vaccinated, 14 unvaccinated. Public Health also reports a total of 32 new positive cases of COVID out of 769 tests performed on the 16th. Of the new cases, 12 were identified through contact tracing. To date, there have been a total of 19,015 officially reported cases, 260 deaths, 1,185 people are in isolation, and there have been 16,940 recoveries. The CAR score, 2.6. To date, a total of 124,734 of Guam's eligible population is fully vaccinated. And as Jason mentioned earlier, the Department of Public Health, Dr. Ann Pabupski, will be holding a data drop at 10:30 this morning, and we will be live streaming that on our Facebook page. Meanwhile, CNMI officially releases updates to its entry protocol that go into effect on Friday. As reported, the CNMI will have new entry protocols for incoming travelers. According to the CNMI Office of the Governor, effective November 19th, all incoming domestic travelers should provide contact information through mandatory health declaration form, and quarantine will be based on the vaccination status of both the traveler and their household. The updated travel protocol includes travelers who are fully vaccinated and verified to be staying in a fully vaccinated household or lodging are not required to quarantine, but will have to be tested for COVID between days 3 to 5 of their stay, which will be based on their departure date. If the traveler is staying less than 5 days, their contacts will also be required to test for COVID. Fully vaccinated travelers who are not residing in a fully vaccinated household or lodging area must undergo a 5-day quarantine in a government facility, which also applies to travelers residing with children ineligible for a COVID-19 vaccine. Unvaccinated travelers are still required to quarantine in a government facility for 7 days and test on their last day. You can read all of the new policy right now on our website, on Facebook, and also on our Instagram page. With more news now, here is Daniel Perez.
This news update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Hafre and good morning. I'm Daniel Perez with your headlines here on The Link. It's not the kind of steps you can track on Fitbit, but it is the kind of steps the healthcare chair plans to look into. Here's more on the above step recruitment happening at GMH.
Ground zero for COVID-19. Without a doubt, they are frontline heroes, giving and sacrificing during our battle against the virus. But among a sea of documents, GMH has been doing a lot of hiring above step recruitment and not necessarily hiring frontliners providing direct patient care.
I think that the danger in this type of thing is, of course, diverting funds from other critical uses.
The issue of above-step recruitment at GMH came to light during a recent confirmation hearing for a nominee to the hospital board of trustees, who was asked about above-step recruitment for a hospital marketing and communications director. According to the October 14th petition, the starting salary at Step 1 is $60,000, but GMH petitioned for a Step 10 salary of $83,000.
I am concerned that those are the things we are sidestepping.
According to the Department of Administration's website, an agency can petition for above-step recruitment because of documented recruitment difficulty or exceptional qualifications. The petition must then be posted on the agency's website for 10 days before the applicant is hired. At GMH, they've apparently had a hard time recruiting for several positions included in the paper trail. In February, they petitioned for above-step recruitment for a data processing supervisor, normally starting at a Step 1 salary of $45,000, but GMH recruited the position at Step 10, almost $62,000. In April, for a food and beverage manager, normally starting at Step 1 with a salary of $49,000, but to be hired at Step 10 at $68,000. Also in April, for a management analyst 4, normally starting at a Step 1 salary of $49,000, but petitioned to be paid at Step 10 at $68,000. In May, for a program coordinator 4 for capital improvement projects, normally starting at Step 1 at $45,000, but to be hired at Step 10 with a salary of $62,000. In June, for Program Coordinator 3 for their Emergency Health Records System, normally starting at Step 1 at $45,000 to Step 10, $62,000. In July, GMH petitioned for above-step recruitment for a Program Coordinator 4 for fiscal. This position normally starts at a Step 1 salary of $49,000, but GMH petitioned to hire this person at Step 10 at $68,000. In October, for a hospital chef supervisor, normally hired at Step 1 at $37,000, but recruited at Step 10 with a salary of $51,000. Also in October, GMH petitioned for the creation of a position for a Deputy Assistant of Administrator of Operations. The Step 1 is at $70,000, but GMH recruited the individual at Step 18 at $125,000. And apparently that deputy will serve as the assistant to the Assistant Administrator of Operations, jumping from a Step 1 salary of $76,000 to a Step 18 salary of $134,000.
We have critical needs at GMH that must be prioritized. And if we cannot fill nursing positions, nursing positions determine how many beds we can fill over there. And we've been paying exorbitant amounts for traveling nurses, and we still have gaps in nursing. And I always believe those are critical. The hiring of specialists is of course critical. And there's been, so much talk about, why is GMH not hiring specialists? Well, they have all the authority to hire specialists and to set salaries for medical professionals as needed. In other words, if specialists are hard to recruit, we want to put money into that and recruit them.
All these steps have led GMH to now have to take a walk down to the legislature. Speaker Therese Terlahi plans to hold an oversight hearing next month on the hospital's hiring practices and vacancies.
How do we say in one breath we're trying to prioritize the recruitment of nurses, specialists, and other medical professionals, and then we hire above step for other less critical positions?
The speaker also plans to call in the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center to look into their hiring as well.
After 9 weeks in the hospital battling COVID, a mother is finally home and able to hold her newborn in her arms. Here's more on this report. A day after her baby shower, Justina Garcia started to feel COVID symptoms. For the safety of her unborn child, she decided to get checked.
I went into GMH on September 6th, and I went in initially because I wasn't feeling her move. I went in just to be safe, and when I went in, I was already experiencing like flu-like symptoms. So I never thought it was like COVID or anything. So I went in, they tested me, came back positive. They told me to go home, quarantine for 10 days, and I was in contact with public health. A couple of days later, my symptoms got worse.
Due to COVID symptoms, Garcia was admitted into GMH for her and her daughter's well-being.
I lost my sense of taste and smell, and I had really bad body aches. So I went back again on September 11th, and I went to the labor and delivery ward, and they told me that I had to have an emergency C-section because the baby's heart rate was dropping.
Garcia recalls waking up after the C-section, intubated.
My first thought was, where's my baby? Like, what happened? Like, why am I here? And I was just trying to recall everything that happened. And then the nurses, a doctor came in, and he was just explaining everything to me, and I was just really just freaked out. I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't get in contact with my family at the time. So the nurses and the doctors were there initially when I woke up. But it was just a really scary experience.
For more than 6 weeks, Garcia was in the hospital recovering.
I was in ICU, and I had all these like tubes, and I was attached to a machine, and I felt really like out of it. I was heavily sedated.
After being detached from the tubes and going through physical therapy to walk again, Garcia was able to go home on November 13th.
They had to test me twice for COVID just to make sure that I was negative so that my family can come and see me. So when the second test came back negative, I was like, okay, call my mom. I was like, call my mom. I need her here now. And my mom came in when, we got that test. It was a sense of relief that I was COVID-free, but at the time I didn't know if my daughter was COVID-free until my mom told me.
Garcia and her daughter are both COVID-free and urges residents to consider getting the vaccine.
I'm not trying to say if you don't get vaccinated, this is going to happen. You're going to land where I was. That's not the case. I would just say for those, it would be a good idea to consider it, not for your safety, but the safety of others.
Garcia plans to get vaccinated. As for her daughter, she hopes a vaccine for infants will be made soon. In regional news, the NMI House Committee investigating Governor Torres finds his executive assistant in contempt after weeks of back and forth and after she appeared before the committee with attorneys but objected to the subpoena on Tuesday. KUAM's Tomas Maglotnya reports.
Refusing to answer questions is also grounds for contempt, as the chair has noted. And I guess my first question to you is it your intention to refuse to answer any of our questions today?
I, Francis De La Cruz, hereby object to the subpoena served on me today.
Okay. Thank you. Privilege. We've heard this statement. We've heard this 10 times.
After weeks of waiting and a written affidavit, the House Investigative Committee finally got to question the governor's executive assistant, Francis De La Cruz. However, De La Cruz objected to the subpoena and reread a prepared statement.
I object to this subpoena because my employer and I have raised testimonial immunity, executive privilege as provided under the constitutional separation of powers doctrine.
Flanked by attorneys, she says in part that the subpoena is overbroad and exceeds the scope of the legislature's power.
It seems like they practice not to say anything. The governor, all the time, he has nothing to hide. I believe he should encourage the witnesses, just like what Rep. Prop said, to come in here and just tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
And lawmakers had enough.
This time there is a unanimous vote to
hold Ms. De La Cruz in contempt and report to the Speaker for further certification to the Attorney General. That motion by unanimous vote it carries.
Tomas Manglotnya for KUAM News on Saipan.
That's it for now. We'll see you tonight for KUAM News Primetime.
This news update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
With President Biden signing a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill earlier this week, Congressman Michael Nicholas gives us a breakdown of the potential funding for Guam.
Congressman Michael Nicholas says with the enactment of the infrastructure package, it is but one of two measures his office has been working hard to secure. According to the breakdown provided by his office, Guam can expect millions heading our way. Through the Territorial Highway Program, Guam should expect to receive more than $95 million over 5 years with which to rebuild roads and bridges. The island can also compete for $7.5 billion in funding over that same time period for major projects to deliver substantial economic benefits to communities. Guam may also expect $11 million over 5 years to provide and improve public transportation options island-wide. Now, under the new federal law, Guam is set to receive a minimum allocation of $25 million to help provide broadband coverage across the territory, including providing access to at least 51,000 Guamanians who currently lack it. Guam can also expect to receive $2.5 million to protect against cyber attacks and funding that will help reduce energy costs for families. We should also receive more than $30 million over 5 years to improve water infrastructure. Finally, Guam airports are expected to receive about $30 million for infrastructure development. According to the delegate, quote, "The work continues, though, to secure remaining provisions for Guam and the President's Build Back Better agenda, which he said could be tackled this week."
And let's head into the Zoom room where we are talking to Tomas Manglotnya in the cinema live in quarantine.
That's it. Good morning, Tomas.
Good morning. Yeah, just yesterday, as we reported, the new guidelines kick in tomorrow. So for those of us who arrived yesterday, or the flight that is the last flight arriving today, in effect for this mandatory quarantine, it's expected for us to be released early tomorrow, but we'll have to return for a 5th day of testing here at BAC. So lots of changes happening, big changes to the quarantine protocol here in the cinema.
What's for breakfast this morning in quarantine, Tomas?
They had hash browns and eggs, and so that's what we all get around 6:30 in the morning. We get a big knock on the door, and I was like, "Oh, okay, it's time." Yeah.
You want to go through some of those changes?
Yeah, and so one of the changes this is going to be all based on your vaccination status and also the vaccination status of your household. So starting tomorrow, if you're vaccinated, and on the health declaration form, actually I filled it out just before I got here and it's already updated. So you put all of your contacts, and those are your close contacts in your household. And if you're vaccinated and people in your household are vaccinated, then you don't have to quarantine at all. But you do have to go through 5th day testing. And then, of course, the other detail there is that if you're in the CNMI for less than 5 days, then it's your contacts who have to get tested after you leave. And another update there, too, is that if you're fully vaccinated, but your household is not fully vaccinated, then you're going to have to quarantine for 5 days, just like I am here at one of the government facilities. And then if you're unvaccinated, you have to quarantine for 7 days. But regardless if you test positive during any of those tests, you're going to be isolated at the government facility for an additional 10 days. And something that was discussed by the CNMI governor and the COVID-19 task force chair, Warren Villagomez, and the CEO of the hospital, Esther Muña, was that they are doing this in part because they want to start directing more resources to doing all of the testing outside of the border, 1st day and 5th day testing. They want to start testing in a more strategic way is what they're calling it. So that's the latest with the quarantine protocol here. And just overnight, we got 9 more cases found through surveillance testing. And as we've been reporting, about 100 cases since October 28, and only 9 cases from travel testing around that same time. And so we're seeing now that maybe the concern is not so much here at the border, but the spread that is happening in the community. And Bree and Chris, just wanted to shift gears a little bit too, because yesterday the House Speaker did send a letter to the CNMI Attorney General certifying and requesting the prosecution of the CNMI Governor's Executive Assistant, Francis De La Cruz. As we reported yesterday, the CNMI House Committee that is probing into the governor's spending and travel held her in contempt after she did appear in person. Of course, we have to also put this in context and remind everyone that she did submit a written affidavit, and that prior to that, her attorney and the government's attorney also said that she had executive privilege and testimonial immunity. And she appeared yesterday, and as we reported in that story, she reread a statement stating why she objects to the subpoenas. And ultimately, the committee voted to hold her in contempt, and the House Speaker went and moved ahead on sending that over to the Attorney General. And we did confirm the Attorney General received that late yesterday, and it's yet to be seen if how he'll move forward with this. And so today, the JGO committee will be having more people testify, and tomorrow, Will Castro, former Senator Will Castro, who is the Chief of Staff for the Governor, is scheduled to testify as well. It's unclear if he'll also invoke testimonial immunity tomorrow.
Wow, that's a lot going on. Well, thanks, Tomas.
Yes, and I believe we also wanted to share some of our responses from our daily question that we received over the past few days. And so we're going to start with the question we asked about addressing
the high rate of diabetes on island.
Yes, and so one of the first comments there we got from Sarah is she says it would be cool if along with lunch break there was an exercise break. Use some of the federal money and provide gyms for government agencies. Fill fridges with fruits, yogurt, meal preps from local companies. Build safer covered walkways and bike lanes. More outside activities so kids can get out and get active. On our Instagram page, another commenter writing, offer free health classes and give incentives for attending those classes. Incentives could be discounts, coupons, free food, gas miles, etc. Give more incentives when they take a routine exam to see if their results improved. And so we got a few comments throughout our Facebook page about that, and we'll be sharing more throughout the week. And another question we asked was, what methods have worked for you to maintain a healthy diet and active lifestyle? This response got a few really personal responses too. People sharing that they attend their kids' sporting events. It's what helped them stay in shape. Someone says that they've been plant-based vegan and having at least 1 hour of physical activity every day. And someone just says laying off the carbs and sodium. So bring Chris in line with the week-long campaign. Lots of reviewers excited to hear more from the experts, and we'll continue to ask those questions throughout the week as well.
Thank you, Tomas.
Thanks, Tomas.
Right on. Feel for that plant-based vegan. It's very different from the animal-based ones, right?
Yes. We got a lot of views too about that, Chris. So if you want to take a look at what people are talking about, go over to our social media pages.
I will, Tomas. Thank you.
All right, Tomas. We'll talk soon.
There you go, Tomas Maglotnia from the KUAM News team. Back
Live-
to you, Sabrina.
Live in Saipan. Managing a chain of restaurants with hundreds of employees is tough enough. Now throw in a project where over $1 million have already been invested, only to be paused by the pandemic. Now that's a challenge no one hopes to ever face. Here's Tyler with Inside Business.
Meet Darren Talai, president of International Dining Concepts. They're in charge of bringing local favorites to the island, such as Pika's, Beach and Shrimp, and California Pizza Kitchen, just to name a few. They had a total of 456 employees working for them before the pandemic.
And it was doing gangbusters all the way up to until the pandemic hit. Their restaurants attracted a wide range of people and were huge successes. CPK in particular was booming in Tumon with both locals and tourists. So they decided to sign a lease a little over 2 years ago to open a bigger location in the island's capital. When the pandemic hit, they were already at the point of no return.
We were well over $1 million into the project when we realized that, wow, this thing is going to be an extended issue for the world and obviously for Guam.
It was something that Talai says was hoping to fizzle out, but it was soon apparent that the lockdown turned out to be more than what anyone was expecting. He's been in the restaurant business his whole life, but nothing could have prepared him for this.
For restaurants, this has become the perfect storm. Yeah, it's scary.
That's a terrifying situation.
It really is. It really is.
With Guam's economy mainly relying on international tourism, they found their main revenue stream gone. Their prayers for support for their employees may have been answered with the introduction of the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. However, Talai says they now face a big labor shortage.
It's very difficult to get people to re-enter the workforce because of they were getting some nice benefits on PUA. Plus, a lot of employees have children or family situations where they couldn't leave home and come back to work. All understandable reasons, but at the end of the day, for restaurants, it was tough to get employees back. That's kind of easing a little bit right now, but it's still a challenge.
But thankfully, they were able to convince some of their key employees to return. And with massive worldwide inflation, one may wonder, how did they stay afloat?
The PPP program, that helped us, a lot, right? Basically, it helped us survive, to be quite honest. The GITA grants programs have also helped us.
Talai says they remain cautiously optimistic and continue to have eyes and ears on the international markets. He thanks everyone for their support as they continue to work through these challenging times.
We always try to deliver the best, product and service. We work hard at that every day. So we really appreciate their loyalty and support for our business.
With Inside Business, I'm Tyler Matanani.
Here is Kin Conception.
Buenos napadays to get soon to be kunut sa morgan ni KUAM News. Presenta ni Familian Mito gi First Hawaiian Bank. Nuri report KUAM gipangin mate si magasi grupon man nabibiso na medikusiha para gobyerno si Dr. Nathaniel Berg. Amisan na siniatali rin ba ni renekto na reglamento siya para COVID-19 na pandemic. Sigon statemento gininadilop i gobyerno sa segundo gobyerno sa maninabiba ni numeron maninadin no este na setnot no siya ribahagwi. Ilang statemento na giinas kayo ng Departamento sa Salud Publiko sa Sebastian Sociat, a Physicians Advisory Group, sa nipamalo siya ni mabibiso i gobyerno. Siya siyempre publiko manananggay hinasan este siya na regulasyon giman mamela na diya siya. Masasunto, the Superior Court of Guam si Anthony Parteco Camacho, 27 anos na edad, dan itulunya Augusto Borja Camacho Jr., 29 anos na edad, sa manano gimen ng Magistrates na West, Benjamin Sison, para hiningok arraignment. Todi dos maplisihan not guilty gimatsakan niya. Si Anthony sa matsakin na manyaki at tumobit, minatres grado na robbery, yan at su identifikasyon niya at tumobit, malawag preso ni felony, zan possession niya di Schedule 2 na bineno, zan manyaki. Si Augusto sa matsaki pod manyaking kareta, zan minatres grado na robbery. During ni por KUAM, malawag si Anthony gisagan konarentina gi DOC, giza Mangilaw. Gazi 12 oras na linibria sa mobile gas station giza Adelup, manaki kareta gi SJ Market giza Harmon, jan lisensyang kareta gin ni Tow Pros giza Harmon Lokoy. Masoda lusot tumus gifyo ni Benson Hardware Store giza Maiti, za maresta dan ni Lunia Agosto. Yutumo na sunto para pago na Webes gin ni KUAM News gifyo sa Moro, kiwa mamati tempo na sinya ho mamok sa binado. Bill 191 no tinigi Senador Clint Rijal. Sa sedi bedado ni makoni Pinesca gialum tano para mapoksa ilo debilo ki mata tije reglamento siya para salud publiku. Igagi na lai pau sa sedi na sinya hau gaiga binado. Lutu masedi ang ginadzanong koni sa ialum tano. Iring Bill 194 ni tinigi Rijal sana maslabiano makuli gaston inspection para di invasive species. No makobla ni flat fee para di siya mahalom na trustees paraguahan sa mahungog lokoy gi hearing. I Departamento na Agrikultura sa RCCBST siya na fee para gasto ni niya biosecurity na dibisyon. Intensyon niya lai sa ma-establish sa gimina 31 na legislatura sa para makulihi 2,000,000 pesos na fee siya. Logi managahit kasi 600,000 pesos sa RCCB. Sa guahado siya na tauto itiman malagom manapasi like nga si Rizal. Para Guam News Network, Gualsican Conception. Yasuto Finutsamoro sa presenta sa ninafatto ni Familiang Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore. Stop on by and visit our showroom today. We offer everyday low prices on all major outdoor power equipment like bush cutter, chainsaw, power washer, generators, and more. Need service, repair, maintenance? Well, check out Guam's best superstore only at Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, located in Barragata along Army Drive between Submarina and Besta Market. Call 735-7446 for more information. Now shipping to surrounding islands. Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage. With generations of Filipinos calling Guam home, KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city, featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC.
We all know that a healthy lifestyle is important to prevent chronic diseases and long-term illnesses and boost mental health. It's difficult to determine exactly which healthy habits are worth investing in to live longer and healthier lives. But FHP is here to help. Tune into The Link every Tuesday for FHP Hafa Health Tips, brought to you by Take Care. Helpful advice about healthy lifestyle choices that will have a big difference in your health from the medical experts at FHP Clinic. FHP Hafa Health Tips on The Link every Tuesday is brought to you by Take Care.
Good morning. It's 8:48, November 18, 2021. You know, I was thinking about during the break, Bree.
What were you thinking about?
I was thinking about during the break, because I know she's not back from her trip yet. But I was thinking, like, you know, with the governor, I wonder how, as a nurse, she would feel knowing that over at the hospital they're doing these crazy above-step recruitments, and meanwhile the nurses, I mean, they're not making anywhere near what we're paying a food and beverage manager, what we're paying a chef supervisor, what we're paying a program coordinator for, a management analyst 25, a deputy assistant administrator deputy. So I know that I just feel for our frontliners, because, you know, everything we say is frontliner this, frontliner that, but when you look at the documents, it looks like the frontliners are at the back of the bus when it comes to being compensated, right, what they're really worth. And I just would love to be a fly on the wall in like a GMH break room this morning. You know what I mean? Because I feel for them, man. They got to be talking about this. It's 8:49. Someone who was one of the first to start talking about this, Senator Joanne Brown. Now, there was a hearing with the GMHA board nominee, Sharon Davis, and I know Speaker Therese Terlahi had kind of brought it up and it said that, you know, a lot of people were talking about this above-step recruitment. And at the time, it was just an above-step recruitment that we knew of for the
marketing position, whatever the new title is for that. Marketing and communications person.
There you go. And so you had brought up a funny point. I actually LOL'd at it. You said, do we really need a marketing position at a hospital because it's a public hospital and it's not like a private business, right, where you're marketing it. And then when you hear from the board member about just the laundry list of the issues that we're all too aware of at the hospital.
Sure.
I mean, it kind of just seemed like I wanted to reach into the TV and be like, hey, Mrs. Davis, do you hear what you're saying? Because you're talking about all these issues at the hospital while you're defending the hiring of someone who's not going to be addressing any of the issues that are going on at the hospital.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I seem, you know, she seems like a very nice lady and very enthusiastic and, you know, wanting to address the infrastructure issues at the hospital, but certainly, you know, hand in hand with that, there are the bigger issues that have to deal with, you know, the hiring practices and, of course, just the morale of the frontliners that are out there, especially, I mean, we always need them. We're in desperate need of them, even during normal times. But as we've seen now over the last couple of years in dealing with this pandemic, how much more critical, you know, our medical and healthcare workers are. And when you see it and when you hear it, like I said, it raises your eyebrow. You're wondering what's going on and where the priorities are. It almost seems like the primary mission is let's hire as many people as we can and let's hire them as high as we can and compensate them as much as possible without any thought as to how does this appear and, you know, and how is the public and also those frontliners and the employees that have been there for many years. I mean, as you know, Chris, a lot of this information surfaces even to the media, I'm sure, as it does to us in our respective capacities from employees that work in these government agencies that are concerned about this or see it or are upset as a result of it, that are actually the ones that are, you know, getting this information out there initially. And so I think we all raise that concern because it really is going to be hard the next time GMH comes before the legislature to tell their story. And yet at the same time, we've seen this. And we've seen how this, you know, they cover under the umbrella of healthcare and say, well, we need all this funding because, you know, we need to take care of the health and welfare of our people. And yet, you know, you dig a little further, sometimes not too deep, and then you end up seeing this going on. And it just doesn't, you know, publicly, and it's pretty hard to explain how this is okay. Especially if you know a number of these positions that have been put up, there's many people in this community that have that skill set and capability that certainly probably weren't even aware of the announcement to even have an opportunity to apply or already know, you know, hey, that's already slated for so-and-so, so why waste my time because I'm not going to get hired in that capacity. So yeah, that sounds like government as usual these days. Unfortunate, but if the hiring authorities are not taking responsibility, and they don't seem to, you don't hear them apologizing. You don't even see them feeling embarrassed about it. It's like this is normal these days, pretty normal.
Were you surprised? Because, like I said, we started with that one above step recruitment, and I know you saw the documents, and I'm pretty sure you saw Sabrina and I's story. But were you surprised
Sure.
when you saw all the other?
Yeah, all the other positions, especially if you recall in the last few months of our administration, during the Calvo Tenorio administration, I was sort of asked as a collateral duty to go up to GMH and kind of help them with some of these issues, and was orientated with the physical infrastructure and some of the other critical needs at the hospital. So yeah, I mean, when you see stuff like that, it doesn't settle well, and in terms of priority, that's not what the priority is at this time. Again, I think we've seen that trend. I'm not going to be surprised. I mean, some other agencies that I'm familiar with, that seems to be the rule. As a matter of fact, break as many laws as you can these days. You get to move to the front of the line. That seems to be acceptable. I mean, it's something that they uphold and want to show that look at what we're doing. And I just, from my perspective, I just don't think it's responsible at this time, especially with what's going on, especially with our economy, if where it's at. I mean, we can brag about, GovGuam's doing great. Well, GovGuam's doing great because of all the federal handouts we've been getting as a result of this pandemic, all the funds that we've been receiving. But I think we also are very clear that as that stops and as it is now slowing down, where are we going to be? Because if we're going to have to run on our own economic engine today, we're in really bad shape. I mean, I was just driving through Tumon the other day, and another reminder in looking at what is not open, what's not operating in our community and in our economy and contributing to our coffers here. So if we have to do this on our own, we are in deep trouble. We will not be able to sustain the level of operations that we currently have. And as we're seeing with the administration, the many people that they continue to add on to the payroll, when we don't even know where we're going to be 5 months from now, 6 months from now, 3 months from now, without the continued infusion of federal cash that has kept us afloat over the last 2 years.
Wow. There was one petition for above step recruitment and the creation of a position. It was the administrator of operations or administrative services and the deputy to the deputy or something like that. But the step, it was a 1 all the way up to 18. I thought that for above step recruitment, you could only go from 1 to 10. It can't exceed 10. Do you know if that's actually the case?
Well, I certainly, look forward to Speaker Terlahi's hearing on this issue to find how did they justify that, and then also how did they address, how much effort and outreach did GMH actually do to determine that this was the only person eligible for this job or could perform this job, and then we needed to add on that much more to their compensation in order to obtain them. It sounds like there's such a rare commodity that nobody else can possibly do the job that they do, which is pretty much what they're saying with their marketing and communications position, that, it's these are the only other people that are qualified to do it. So I'm looking forward to the hearing and seeing what their expectation is and how they're going to, publicly justify, because that is a big leap. I mean, I can't answer for how or what they did. I mean, I think I'm curious to see how much effort did they make to, recruit, how many announcements did they make, and how many interviews did they do to determine that, there's not other qualified people that could have performed this job, certainly for far less, because that is a big leap. It's a very, 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 very big leap.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me that a lot of these above step recruitments, they're not open to other employees, right? It's like they do an above step recruitment that's targeting a specific individual, and then no one else gets to apply for it. Like in the case of,
I don't know. I never heard about, those positions. I mean, you notice in some cases they do publish if they're going to do an above step recruitment, you actually see they publish, they do a public notice on it. So I'm totally unaware with regards to these positions up until I heard your story the other day on the news that listed all of these positions.
We did reach out to Lillian Posadas about, and this was about the hospital and communications director, and she had put the normal process for any above step recruitment as a 10-day publication for transparency. And I'm not sure if that means in that, because there's that open government law where it says a newspaper of a general circulation,
right, circulation,
or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if they do it in the paper, if they just post it on their website, but obviously there needs to be some kind of overhaul with this above
Well, and I agree. And in a standardization. I mean, for example, look at the University of Guam, and I just bring that up. Just in recent days, looking at the papers, right? You'll see them put an announcement out for different positions that they have available, and that's in other agencies you do see that. But in this particular case, a story that I saw that you guys put on the other night, I've never heard of these positions until you guys reported it. And that's why, Senator Tello, I've co-sponsored with her a bill that she just recently introduced with regards to requiring these monthly reportings now on these type of hirings, these positions above step, so that there is a public awareness and accounting as it's happening. We're not finding out like months later or every quarter, because I think, with these type of issues, as you bring more light to them, if they're legitimate, then the process can move forward. But when these type of questions are getting raised, and these are all very good questions, and I'm sure not just us and you and the media, but I'm sure the public, especially during these challenging times that we're all going through, it's like even in the best of times, this would raise your eyebrow. But, right now with everything that's happening and the need we have for good medical care on the island, and the history that we've heard of GMH of not having the finances to address the equipment, to address the medicines, to address the critical medical staff that's needed. If this was hiring a specialist at the hospital, I don't think we'd even be having this conversation. I think we can understand the justification, for getting someone with a very specialized skill set to come to Guam and needing to compensate them because, of course, in the market that they're in, they could be paid a higher salary somewhere else to perform that same skill that we desperately may need here. But when it's other non-medical positions, like that at the hospital, then of course you have to ask the big question is really, where are the real priorities?
Yeah. And what really gets me, man, Senator, is like I know a lot of people who made a decision in their life track to go off island or even on island, become a nurse, to become anything really that could contribute to our island and the betterment, the health of our people. And when they read stuff like this, it just pisses them off because they could be working in the States making, way more money, but instead they choose to come back here, and it's always the same old thing where we take a big crap on the people who come back here to help our island, and we elevate these political sycophants above everyone else. And how do you think that makes these people who are here making way less than they would in the States? How does that make them feel?
Well, I agree with you. And we have so many talented people from Guam that live elsewhere, especially even in the medical field. We kind of think, we just have a few of our local doctors, but, we have quite a number of them. And as time's going on, we have a lot of our young people that are graduating the field, getting their experience and their degrees. It's just they're not here because they obviously can be compensated elsewhere at a higher level and better opportunity. And then also just having the facilities to work in that, allow them to undertake their profession. So it's discouraging. And it goes back to what you know, not who you know. And it's discouraging for those that actually work hard to get to where they're at, to have an opportunity to even want to be in line and be, not even have the chance to even apply for these positions. But yeah, I mean, you're seeing it. You're seeing it every day. It's almost normal now. I mean, it's not uncommon, and we're hearing it. Not too long ago, you guys were talking about the issue with Department of Revenue and Taxation, and now we're talking about the hospital. Maybe next week it's another government agency, and it's just. The administration really has not shown where their key priorities are when you see these type of practices going on. Because obviously, I mean, this has to be authorized from above. And it's really unfortunate to see that this sort of thing is happening. And it's not, just back and forth because we want to attack the administration. But gosh, when stuff like this comes to surface, especially at GMH, particularly knowing the history.
Particularly knowing that the governor is a nurse and particularly knowing that she's a former hospital board member.
All I can say is they have to account. They have to account for their own actions, and it's for the people of Guam out there to decide, is this acceptable to them? Is this okay? It's just another day, or are they upset enough that they're not happy about it? They're going to do something about it.
Yeah, how do you market
this?
We're
entrusted with that responsibility for the time that we're here, in these respective positions, and we're here by the grace of the people, and it's up to them. They need to make that call, to find out if this is acceptable to them.
I did want to switch topics and ask you if about this port board meeting scheduled for next week on the 24th. And I'm just wondering, are they talking about you? A board resolution?
I don't know. What do you think, Sabrina? What do you think of the odds, huh? I'm not in. I think I'm way out of the ballpark. So what are the odds? I mean, probably a good thing I passed, sponsored the law to require these boards and commissions to now publish their agenda so that, we'll all know what's going on and what they're going to be discussing on behalf of the people of Guam. So, yeah, good question. I guess maybe this time next week we'll know.
Can you give a little context? What does it say? I'm sorry, Senator.
Board resolution number 2021-34 relative to directing the general manager to exercise authority to take any and all administrative and/or criminal actions necessary pursuant to the Office of Attorney General opinion dated November 9th. RE requests for opinion on retroactive salary adjustments for former management at the Port Authority of Guam.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate. I mean, the board is the one that sets the policy for the Port Authority. And I think we've seen since the current, Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration has been sworn in. I mean, they pretty much tried to wash away, the issues with regards to ensuring accountability at the Port Authority. I mean, they've paid out not hundreds of thousands, they've paid out several $million+ in adverse action cases that occurred during our time with regards to holding employees that are accountable for their actions. And not taking responsibility for that. And they pretty much tried to make that go away. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that this is happening in our community. And certainly for my work, I mean, I stand by the work that I performed when I was general manager at the Port Authority. I mean, I operated under the direction and leadership of the board and the board chairman. And I followed the process that was provided to me with regards to my work as a general manager. And certainly, I stand by that. I stand by my performance and where we took the port for the time that we were there to where it was when we left, when we were able to succeed in getting the first bond, borrowing bond of $72 million for the Port Authority to address upgrades to critical infrastructure. That sort of thing doesn't happen overnight. I mean, you have to ensure you get your financial operations in order in your house. You have to be able to demonstrate your capability of operating successfully. The amount of equipment that we poured into the port in any single period of time was quite significant, and we left the port in pretty good operational shape that the current administration is benefiting from. And unfortunately, taking the money that the ratepayers are paying into the Port Authority and really just talk about above step recruitment. Look at that. Look at the hundreds of thousands of dollars and per employee, millions of dollars collectively of public resource that essentially were paying off these cases without making sure they went through the proper legal process to be reviewed. Because we very much felt at the time, had we still been there to pursue these cases, that some of these individuals, as you know, Kristen Bree, delayed. They had every reason why they could not attend a civil service hearing, to take advantage of the political process. And unfortunately, that's what they succeeded in doing. And right now, it's unfortunate, too, for a lot of the good, hardworking employees, including those that came forth to testify with regards to what happened there, that are now being harassed, isolated, targeted. You keep hearing them talk about the morale of the port and how everything's so good. And, that's what they may be hearing or want to hear. But a lot of good people there that, simply want to come to work and do their job. They either have to lay low or stay quiet or look the other way in fear of being harassed by this current administration. And those that they feel are their friends that benefit them are very well compensated, and those that are not, they're put at a very tremendous disadvantage. And that's really not how our government agencies should be operating. So let them say what they want to say, but at the end of the day, I stand by my work. I stand by my performance as a general manager of the port, and the progress that we made during the time that we were there. And the fact that they may want to come after me at this point is, can you spell retribution? That's what this is all about. They're coming after me and other people that they believe have supported me because that's just what they do. That's what they got the time on their hands to do. And if they think that this is a good thing for them, they may be doing me a favor, unfortunately, in bringing to light what's going on at the port. But it's not going to stop me from speaking out about what I think is wrong in this government. I've been doing this for too many years, being in public service. to let this slide because I fear that they're going to attack me. I mean, I've gone through that for many years, but it doesn't stop me from doing what I believe is the right thing to do. I mean, I live here. My family lives here. What I care for and about is here. And I've been given tremendous opportunity in my life and in my career to do the work that I do. And that's important to me. And if I see something that's wrong, that's harming our community, including leadership, if it's bad leadership, I'm going to speak out against it. I just think we have a responsibility to do that.
Well, we got to run, but I did want to tell you that I did reach out to the Port General Manager, Roy Respicio, yesterday, and I asked him for a copy of this resolution, and I was told that I would get a copy when it was filed. So we don't have a copy of it, and I guess
well, it's unfortunate because the hope with the revision to the law was not only to publish to let the public know what was going to be on the agenda, but that the general public would and should have access to those documents before these meetings, because of course that's how things get slipped in and out. Because we don't know what's happening or transacting, and unless the media is covering it, in most cases you're never going to know what transacted. So, those documents that they have listed on their agenda should have all been available for you or anybody else in the general public to be able to obtain it before the meeting.
All right, Senator. That meeting, a port meeting, is Wednesday, November. That's next week, Thursday. Next week, Wednesday. Maybe we can get you on Friday.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you guys, I'm always here to talk with you whenever we can schedule a time to do so, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, let's take it from there.
You keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and we'll move forward. I mean, we just got to stand up and speak out when the need is there to do it.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Senator Brown.
All right, it's good to talk to you guys. You take care.
Okay.
And I won't talk to you before then, but happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, too. Right on. It's 9:10. We got to take a quick break, and we're coming back with the continuation of our week-long diabetes symposium right here on The Link. It continues next. Good morning.
Get ready to run or ride to 22 with the Miles Challenge. Join the challenge from now till January 31st to rack up those miles on foot or by cycling. Runners can choose from 100, 200, and 300 miles. Cyclists 300, 600, and 900 miles. Go to mileschallenge.com to select your challenge and register today. The Run and Ride to 22 Challenge is brought to you by Uproar, Trench Challenge, Kill Cliff, and KUAM Communications. Donation proceeds to benefit the EMC Cancer Foundation. Guam is good.
Let's get merry during the most wonderful time of the year by making spirits bright. KUAM Communications and Coast 360 want to highlight your decorations and lights by flooding the social media pages of KUAM with your videos and photos. Finish your holiday setup, snap a few shots or video of your delightful display, and send it to us through social media or email them to promotions@KUAM.com. Check out our posts every Friday or tune in to KUAM News Weekend Edition for a special montage of the submissions certain to be making spirits bright with every broadcast. Warmest holiday wishes from KUAM Communications and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
This holiday season, we're once again bringing together the island's largest array of local vendors for a special innovative way for you to shop, broadcast, and go digital with Team KUAM. Join us on Sunday, November 28th for the annual Christmas Pops Virtual Holiday Market at 12 noon on KUAM TV8 and the KUAM News Facebook page, plus additional show times through December 11th. We'll also be featuring vendors daily with posts with QR codes and links on our social media pages beginning Monday, November 29th, and hosting an exclusive Christmas Pops website for your one-stop shopping. It's a safe and convenient way for you to shop local this holiday season. To reserve your spot, email promotions@KUAM.com today. Virtual space is limited.
Presented by UOG School of Business and Public Administration, JA Guam, inspiring youth, and the Guam Visitors Bureau, making Guam a better place to live, work, and visit.
Take in the panoramic beauty of our island each Sunday on the KUAM News Instagram with Scenic Sundays. Scroll through the natural beauty of the island on display. Scenic Sundays on the KUAM News Instagram is brought to you by Addis Trust and Investment, Location, Service, Trust, and Haagen-Dazs Shops Guam, where every day is made extraordinary.
We know you're tired of hearing about COVID-19. Some of you are probably wondering whether this is ever going to end. However long it takes, we all have to do our part, including our children, to hold the line. You can protect yourself and your family by getting vaccinated.
And if you're already vaccinated, don't let your guard down because you can still give and get COVID-19. And if you're not vaccinated, remember that if you catch the virus, you could suffer more severe complications. At the end of the day, it's the choices we make to protect ourselves, our families, and our community that will control the spread.
We know it sounds repetitive at this point, but again, wash your hands, watch your distance, and wear your mask.
Together, we have to hold the line. The KUAM Podcast Network is back and on demand, featuring a great variety of podcasts from our island and region, including culture, lifestyle, awareness, crime, politics, commentary, comedy, and entertainment. Available on most streaming platforms. The KUAM Podcast Network. Subscribe and listen now.
See what's on TV tonight with schedules, network news and notes, local promotions and giveaways on KUAM Communications social media pages. Like and follow us on Facebook or Instagram now for all the latest and never miss out.
Pacific Matters is a half-hour news, culture, and lifestyle show focused on issues that impact Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, and the larger Pacific region. Join Tomas Naglonia every Monday to discuss politics, trends, and take a deep dive into the issues changing our island home, because what happens in the Pacific matters. The Culture Club returns to KUM Digital and KUM News Weekend Edition, highlighting Guam's young artists, activists, and crafters as they work to protect, preserve, and promote our Tamoto culture. Watch this weekly feature on the digital platforms of KUM News Weekend Edition, brought to you by Hanum, the freshest bottled water made in Guam.
KUAM's multi-platform morning show, The Link, just got a little more delicious with Feed Me Fridays. Chris, Sabrina, Jason, and the rest of the morning crew will take some time off each Friday to talk, taste, and tempt you with all the latest and greatest food and drinks on Guam. Old faves, new hits, and everything else we can put in our bellies. It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link, brought to you by King's Restaurants, Ruby Tuesday Guam, and Devondale. Real milk from free grazing cows. This season, KUAM Communications is ready to go with more games, more championships, and more sports specials guaranteed to bring out the fan in you. Don't miss a minute of gameplay from NBC on KUAM TV8 or from CBS on KUAM TV11. We're bringing you all the action and excitement brought to you locally by Marianas Irrigation and Landscape and Docomo Pacific. Catch Sports Link on the KUAM News Morning Show, The Link, every Friday for the latest sports news, game schedules, athlete profiles, and more. Sports Link airs every Friday across the multi-platforms of KUAM. Tune in to the broadcast on Breeze 93.9 FM on KUAM TV 11, live stream through the KUAM News Facebook page, or view highlights on YouTube, KUAM News Facebook, and Instagram page. Sports Link is brought to you by Marianas Irrigation and Landscape. The world of television is more exciting than ever. Don't miss a minute of special presentations from NBC on KUAM TV8 or from CBS on KUAM TV 11. Every month, we'll bring you the fun and excitement of award shows and red carpet moments, special series presentations, and other great network programs. Brought to you locally by King's Restaurant, Ruby Tuesday Guam, and Docomo Pacific, giving you more reasons to tune in and turn on. Fall in love with TV again with the best from KUAM Communications. Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Marianas Irrigation and Landscape Superstore. Stop on by and visit our showroom today. We offer everyday low prices on all major outdoor power equipment like bush cutter, chainsaw, power washer, generators, and more. Need service, repair, maintenance? Well, check out Guam's best superstore only at Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, located in Barragata along Army Drive between Submarina and Besta Market. Call 735-7446 for more information. Now shipping to surrounding islands. Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore.
Healthier You, Making Diabetes History on Guam.
Presented in partnership with Calvo Select Care and Paradise Fitness Center.
Good day, everybody, and welcome back to The Link. As we have been doing all week long, we have been talking about diabetes as part of KUAM and AI Health's Healthier You campaign. We started off over the weekend interviewing Leon Guerrero about World Diabetes Day on Monday. We talked about the impact of diabetes on Guam with Frank Campillo from Calvo Select Care, as well as Dr. Dolores Lee. Yesterday, we talked about diabetes prevention with Rosea Calvo, Mike Stroh, Nurse Agnes White, and Boca Box Jess Rosario. Wednesday, we talked about diabetes and technology today. Today, though, we are talking about diabetes and the future. And we are so honored to have with us in the Zoom room, we have Dr. David Klonoff. He has known to be the founding father of diabetes technology, also coined the term diabetes technology. Also joining us in the Zoom room, we have Dr. Francisco Pascual. He is also an AI Health Advisor and member of the AI Health Clinical and Technical Oversight Board, specializing in optimizing care with diabetes technology. Good morning or good afternoon from your part of the world. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good day. We're both here to talk about diabetes, and Francisco and I have worked together on many projects. It's great, Francisco, to be able to see you. I'm in San Francisco and you're in Atlanta. So do you still feel that diabetes is an extremely important disease to treat?
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having us. And it's great to share with David and all of you. And happy to answer any questions and start the conversation and keep it going to try to make a change. And you know, it's a very high risk of diabetes in one. So hopefully we can help in whatever we can.
Well, gentlemen, doctors, we really appreciate your insight and your expertise on this subject. And Sabrina and I actually, it's an honor for us too, because we, I guess, unfortunately would be the right way to say it, are the children of at least one diabetic parent, both. So we're pretty intimately familiar with the treatment. And Dr. Klonoff, I'd like to start with you, you know, as someone who has made a world-renowned name for himself in the treatment. A lot of people like myself that, you know, these responsibilities were kind of thrust upon, kind of found, you know, the treatment of constantly having to take, you know, prick the finger for blood, or, you know, like what I would do to my dad is, you know, kind of like squeeze maybe a fatty part in his stomach for the injection of insulin. Those kind of treatments were maybe like a little crude, but I understand, like at the time, you know, that's what technology supported and everything. Moving forward, how will technology and techniques be able to provide for the type of data and the type of, you know, medical feedback that you need, maybe without the types of readings that we've had to take?
Well, that's a really good question. I'm going to start off by saying that the very best treatments for diabetes involve having a healthy lifestyle. I am interested in technology, but what people eat and how much they exercise and whether they take their medicine is even more important than any technology in the world. But if a person is eating right and they're exercising regularly and taking their medicines, then the next step is there are technologies that can help. Many people with diabetes, as you said, will benefit from knowing what's their blood sugar at any given time so that they can make a decision how much extra to eat or not to eat, what kinds of foods to eat. And at one time, there was no way to even know what the blood sugar was. And then later, last century, people tested urine sugar, which was not very accurate. Then they transitioned now to blood glucose, which is the dominant way of testing glucose, at least the first 20 years of this century. But the topic of today is the future. And I think the future of diabetes, increasingly, blood glucose testing with pricking the finger, getting a drop of blood, is going to be replaced by continuous glucose monitoring. And this is a really amazing technology with a tiny wire that's like a hair that goes under the skin. It sits there and it's attached to a tiny ball that's outside the skin. And the wire measures glucose continuously every minute, every 5 minutes. And the ball sends a message to a smartphone, which sends the information to the cloud. And from the cloud, the information is sent back either to the smartphone or to a computer or to the doctor's office. So now instead of a person checking themselves maybe 3 or 4 times a day and having to prick themselves, which people often don't even want to do at all, they have an absolutely painless device. They don't even feel it sitting in the skin that's making a measurement a couple hundred times a day. And these continuous glucose monitors have an alarm. So if the blood sugar is getting too high or too low and the person can set their own limits, they get warned. So it's much easier now to know which foods affect the glucose, which activities, and whether a person is in danger. So I think the idea of checking the glucose continuously is a very good idea. There's also new ways of delivering insulin. I'm interested in those. I know Francisco is interested in those. I'm going to let him talk.
Yeah, because with insulin, you know, both my parents have diabetes, and with the insulin, it's the same thing. You get the needle and you have to, you know, like Jason was mentioning, pricking it. It's just kind of, I feel so bad, but you know, they have to do that. They also have a pen, I believe. So what's the future, I guess, because we are coming on 100 years, a whole century after the discovery.
So I think, the monitoring of glucose with these sensors, it's just incredible because it can change behavior. But it also demands that the patient takes part in ownership of their care, because just having the device is not going to make a difference unless the patient is looking at the data and making decisions about the data. So you know how we are, we get tired sometimes with too much information if we don't understand information. So that's also a very important part of using this technology. But I would like to add that with time, we've learned that people with diabetes are very heterogeneous, both patients with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And with time, we have learned that there's new medications that can actually help patients come off insulin. So we're now in a world where we are treating patients with type 2 diabetes to try to come off of insulin with other medications that help you reduce weight, decrease the chances of having low blood sugars. So the technology is becoming available, but I think there's also an important factor is in individualizing who those patients are that will benefit from certain different types of therapies, certain different types of technologies. And that's what we're learning, because the technology is advancing so quickly, the new medications are coming so quickly, and we're trying to understand how to best treat each patient based on their individual characteristics.
So with the wire and ball, solution, you said connected to a smartphone, you're kind of like leveraging the Internet of Things model, it sounds like, and everything, and basically move kind of the computing out to the edge, in this case being the patient, which would then relay all that information back to, to a healthcare provider for constant. And I'm completely on board with that. Like when you said constant monitoring as opposed to, twice a day pricking.
Well, we're now going through the digital revolution. And everything we do is being converted from analog, where we measure it with a ruler or with our hands, to digital, where you get an exact number. And that's affecting diabetes as well. So many of the measurements that we make can now be digitalized, put into specific numbers, And then using different computing techniques, such as artificial intelligence, you can derive conclusions from the information because we never had this kind of information before. And both Francisco and I are on the advisory board for AI Health, which I think offers an exciting approach to diabetes in Guam. And what AI Health is going to do is make many measurements of many different factors in people at the same time. Yes, glucose, but many other factors, other chemicals that are in the blood, other physiology features such as cardiovascular, temperature, also behavior, and what's going on in the environment. And when you put together all this type of information, let's say genetic information and lab information and physiology and behavior and environment, you have a very rich pattern. It's all digital, and you can put it together using artificial intelligence. That's what AI stands for. In AI Health, they're using artificial intelligence. When you put it together, you can get a very specific pattern of each individual patient. So the days of a doctor saying, well, you look sort of big or small, or you don't look quite right, whatever it is, those will be replaced by very specific numbers. When we have those numbers, we can do the calculations, come up with precise treatments. And that approach, which AI Health is using, is called precision medicine.
Now, I have a question, and maybe Dr. Pascal, you can address this when it comes to AI, because we've done a fair amount of artificial intelligence work here at KUM, and I guess I'm concerned with seeing, does it even bear any relevance on the fact that when the data sets are compiled, right, and you have the stratification of different age groups and people of different ethnicities and everything, when it comes to treating diabetic patients locally, is the data, like, does it translate like across different racial groups and different demographics like that? Because everybody always talks about like AI is the future and it's wonderful, but then you face the inevitable conversation of, is there like an ethical AI? And if you sample a certain amount of people, does it translate to people from all over the world? I mean, is that even a concern?
I think there's several concerns, and this is so new that we're just learning about it. So creating those, discussing this, having these conversations about equity, making sure that there's no bias in those algorithms that are telling us how to treat patients. So finding the ways so that we have unbiased algorithms that identify the patients at the highest risk with the right medication, with the appropriate treatment. I think that's where we should go, and demonstrate that maybe the technology can help us actually overcome sometimes those biases. And sometimes physicians may not prescribe certain medications to patients because they may believe that they will not take them. Or they may not prescribe technology to some patients because they may think that they may stop using it or not be able to afford it. So there's several issues around how we practice medicine that hopefully technology can help us. But we don't know about all the potential biases that may be there. And we have to be alert and take a good look on all those potential issues as we move forward. We're just at the beginning, I think. The use of AI for risk stratification is very helpful. It's better than the older models that we used to have. The use of AI now to guide insulin delivery is just incredible, and how we are using the data from the patient, and now an algorithm is deciding how much insulin the patient can get based on those glucose values. It's just amazing because the technology is really reaching much higher levels of control that we saw before in patients, specifically with type 1 diabetes. But I think there's also an interest in moving that for those patients with type 2 diabetes that need insulin. And there's a lot of studies going on also with the use of technology for type 2 diabetes as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, doctor. That's a perfect answer.
At AI Health, we're going to be studying people from Guam, and we're going to learn what their patterns are, their physiology, their behavior. So to the extent that we want to have specific local treatments, we'll be able to, because we're looking at a data set of people from Guam. And it's very possible that the best treatments for Guam are not the same as the best treatments somewhere else. But the big study we're going to launch is focused on people from Guam. And so we're not going to assume that different results are the same. We're going to see what they actually are, and then we can base our treatments on what we see.
Outstanding.
Tomorrow, both of you are supposed to be coming back to talk or to participate in the virtual town hall about the AI validation study. But I kind of am just curious, how was Guam selected?
Well, the company AI Health selected Guam. I think one thing they liked about it was they felt that the population was a certain size that it would be possible to study a pretty high percentage of the patients. If there were millions and millions of patients and you look at hundreds of patients, you might feel you're not looking at a high enough percentage. But I think one factor was that my understanding is the population of Guam is several 100,000, which is a good number for a study. And second, fact is there, to my knowledge, there has been very little artificial intelligence research done in Guam.
Yep.
So this is really an opportunity to do something really new and help a group of people, we hope, that haven't had this opportunity. And then the third factor, my understanding is that there's interest in Guam in becoming more technologically oriented. For example, I live on the edge of Silicon Valley. They don't need another study, they'll take it. But I think that a high-tech study in Guam might be more appreciated even than a high-tech study where I live.
And I would even say, gentlemen, would you agree that, now it's, as Sabrina said, it's been a century since the discovery of insulin and everything like that, moving technology and techniques to more digital platforms and basing them on AI and everything like that. And, including these large data sets, it's actually only going to ramp up the pace and the tempo of medical research. So it's not going to take another 100 years to make huge progress. We're really going to get, to very significant points in the treatment of diabetes really, really quickly, I would hope.
Right, the world is changing rapidly. I have an anecdote that I think is sort of unusual. I had a patient who developed type 1 diabetes in 1930, and she was pretty young then. And at that time, insulin had just been purified. It was as experimental then as many drugs now that we're not sure about if we want to take a chance with them. She went to Boston from the west coast of the US and saw Dr. Joslin, who later started the well-known Joslin Diabetes Clinic at Harvard. He put her on what was an experimental drug called insulin. It saved her life, and she came back and lived her life in California, and she lived into her 90s.
Oh, wow.
And later endowed the Diabetes Research Institute, where I work at Mills Peninsula Medical Center in San Mateo, California. So I visited Joslin, gave a talk there one time. They said, to their knowledge, I'm the only doctor that has ever shared a patient with Joslin with whom it's named. Anybody else is probably not alive at this point. But back then, people couldn't test themselves very well. And now we've got the continuous glucose monitors. We have insulin pumps that deliver insulin. We have systems called automated insulin delivery systems, in which the glucose level is checked automatically and the dose of insulin is calculated automatically. Plus, there's many other treatments involving hardware and software. By the way, when she developed diabetes, the word software, of course, didn't exist in 1930.
You guys still got me at the size of the wire, the size of a hair attached to a ball. I'm still trying to understand.
Well, I'll tell you something else too. Right now, it's used to measure glucose, but we've done some work that it looks like now it'll be able to measure something else as well, that same wire, called ketones. And although type 2 is the more common type of diabetes in Guam, type 1 is the less common. There are people with type 1, and they're at risk of a very serious, everyone with type 1, serious life-threatening complication called ketoacidosis. And if a person knows their ketone levels, then they know that it's time to get medical help. And there's even a situation, I think Francisco would be able to comment on, where there's a drug that's used for people with type 2 diabetes. And occasionally, now we're talking about Guam, it's a widely used class of drugs. And occasionally people with this class of drugs can develop ketoacidosis. Francisco, what do you think about the possibility or the risk of someone with type 2 developing ketoacidosis?
Right, and DKA, which is the kind of the short name for it, standing for diabetic ketoacidosis, we call it DKA, can occur in patients with type 2, particularly in those patients that are very sick. But more recently, we've learned that a class of medications that it's now very commonly used because it has shown tremendous effects in reduction of hospitalizations for heart failure. They're called SGLT2 inhibitors. Now they're really amazing medications for patients with severe heart failure, and we're using it more commonly. But we are realizing that some patients that take these medications can develop higher ketone levels in their blood, particularly when they're not eating. If you think about a ketogenic diet, for example, a patient that is not eating carbs or a patient that is not eating at all, they start developing this ketone. So if a patient with diabetes that's taking these medications has anything extra, like an acute illness, or is not eating well, it starts having this increased risk of elevated ketones. And as David is referring, I think that's one of the new advances in technology is the ability to measure those ketones, and the technology is coming. So I think that's something that is going to be incredible in the future, is there's this ability to prevent those events, such as we're preventing very low sugars in patients with type 1 diabetes with alarms. So I think the technology is incredible in the sense that we're measuring these biomarkers in real time, and at the same, we're integrating that with digital technology, with smartphones that provide alarms for patients to make decisions for those risks.
Fascinating.
Now, a few years ago, every diabetes device, like a blood glucose monitor, is what we would call a brick. Just sat there, didn't communicate with anybody. And if you wanted the information, you had to read what was on there, copy it down on a piece of paper. So we would receive log books from people, and sometimes they would write down all their blood glucose levels and we could see how it was running. But sometimes we'd see a book that was very clean, no blood spots. The ink was exactly the same every single day. The handwriting was the same every single day. As I said, it was a very clean book. And when we saw that, sometimes we'd suspect that they hadn't really checked themselves in real time. They never had bloody fingers, but they just wrote it down on their way to the doctor's office. And that doesn't help anybody. But now all the devices we use communicate, as you said, Jason, this is the Internet of Things. They communicate with each other, they communicate with the doctor. So the person doesn't have to go to the trouble of writing them down. We can receive the information digitally, and then we can act on it. And in some cases, the information can be programmed. This is sensor information, can be programmed to an effector, such as an insulin pump, to determine a dose of insulin. So a person isn't even taking any action, and their insulin pump will know how much insulin to give them based on their glucose level.
So the communication is bidirectional in that sense. And
yeah, it's called an automated insulin delivery system.
And forgive me for asking, but I only know because, like, you know, I can really geek out about this stuff. Like, and again, when my dad was, you know, and my dad had renal failure, and then he was ultimately on dialysis for a number of years. And but I remember I believe they said Google holds a patent on perhaps like a contact lens that might be able to do like the same thing and constant glucose monitoring, and that, like, I don't think it was a connected device like the kind you're talking about, but I've heard something like that.
Well, Google actually hired me to be their only non-Google employee to be an advisor on that project. So if you want to measure,
done, very nice.
Yeah, if you want to measure your glucose, it's not easy because the concentration of glucose in tears is only about 1/100th in blood. So a blood glucose monitor isn't going to be useful. So we helped Google develop an assay, a method to measure tear glucose. They worked on the contact lens to do the measurement, but unfortunately, they weren't able to make it work, and we were sad to hear they discontinued the project. So at this time, they're not working on it. But I read that scientists in Korea and some other places are still trying to keep that kind of method going. I hope they're successful.
Well, Dr. Klonoff, Dr. Pascal, thank you so much for joining us on the link. I know we're going to be hearing more from you tomorrow as we continue our discussion about diabetes and about AI health validation study. Was there any final comments you wanted to make?
Well, I just want to say one more thing, that Dr. Pascal isn't going to tell you this, so I will. He's running an amazing center in Emory that uses technology in the hospital. Everything we've talked about is outpatients. But if you want to know what technology is doing for hospital patients, there's nobody better you can ask than Dr. Pascal.
That's very kind, David. And it's always a pleasure to share with you. You know, when you were asking about the glucose in the eye, and I think that's a David Klonoff kind of question. So I wouldn't know about that. But yeah, so I think just to add on that part of the technology is the ability to monitor remotely those glucose levels for patients. Those patients, for example, in the ICU, we're monitoring them outside of the room, and that data can go to the cloud and we can get reports. So it's moving quickly, and now we're thinking about population health management, where we can have dashboards of patients that are uncontrolled. How do we see them? How do we identify those at the highest risk? So that's where we're going, and I think it's really promising.
Yeah, telemetry before was only supposed to be like in the medical facility, but now you can do it basically anywhere the patient is, right?
Exactly.
And with you're talking about the remote monitoring nowadays, right? With the COVID-19 pandemic, that must be, I guess, helpful.
Absolutely. We've been conducting some studies. We actually implemented that in practice to care for patients in the critical care unit, where they were not receiving the treatment that they should have been receiving in many settings because of the fear of COVID. We were using more insulin injections as opposed to the standard of care, which is IV insulin with measurements every hour of glucose. So to adjust that insulin dose in the ICU, we typically use algorithms, but the nurse still has to adjust that, and they were checking every hour. So we decided to implement the technology in the ICU, and that helped nurses to see the glucose levels outside of the room without going in every hour to do the finger stick. So that helped reduce the burden and improve the glycemic control. And we're still using it. We have a patient right now using the technology in the ICU.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely tremendous.
Thank you again, Dr. Klonoff, Dr. Pascual. We will be seeing you again tomorrow, again for the virtual town hall meeting on the validation study. For our viewers, our listeners, please post your questions in the comments below right now if you want, or tomorrow. Give us a call live during the show. The number will be 671-635-5804. Again, joining the panel tomorrow will be Dr. David Klonoff, Dr. Pascual. We'll have Dr. Erica Alford, who you heard from earlier this week, Dr. Juan Espinosa, as well as Calvo Select Care, Frank Campillo, and Dr. Dolores Lee. Stay tuned. We'll have more on the link after the break.
A Healthier You, Making Diabetes History on Guam.
Presented in partnership with Calvo Select Care and Paradise Fitness Center.
1 in 6 people on Guam are affected by diabetes. The terrible impact of the disease on the island has only been amplified by the COVID-19 pandemic, as many of those hospitalized and those we've lost had pre-existing underlying conditions like diabetes. As November is Diabetes Awareness Month, KUAM News has partnered with AI Health to raise awareness for this disease that affects so many of us, and to showcase a number of ways to prevent, treat, and care for those with diabetes. Join us for AI Health's A Healthier You, Making Diabetes History on Guam, a multi-platform campaign on KUAM Communications, including a 6-part series on KUAM News Primetime and Weekend Edition, and our digital media platforms kicking off on World Diabetes Day, Sunday, November 14th. Daily interviews with expert panelists on the link beginning November 15th, and a special interactive town hall meeting on the link with experts from AI Health, with more information on their diabetes validation study and a new level of precision care that aims to create a healthier Guam. A Healthier You, Making Diabetes History on Guam. A look at how diet, exercise, and technological advances in disease monitoring and medical care can have a positive impact on our community.
The Healthier You series on KUAM News is presented in partnership with Calvo Select Care and Paradise Fitness Center.
Looking for TV schedules, upcoming sports, or special presentations, or what you may have missed over the busy week you had? Well, look no further than KUAM Digital Digest. This weekly emailed newsletter puts all kinds of information in the hands of subscribers each and every week. Just subscribe and we will make sure you keep up with your favorites and stay informed and entertained throughout it all. Go to KUAM.com, click on the newsletter tab, give us your email address, and you are all set. Brought to you in digital partnership with King's Restaurant and Ruby Tuesday Guam. It's the KUAM Digital Digest, your weekly guide to the latest information and best entertainment on the stations and platforms of KUAM.
Alpha Day, I'm Angel Sawan. Have you ever run into a child that has no home or parents aren't there because of a different situation? This past year and a half, there's been over 400 kids that have no homes and parents can't care for them. My Choice of Giving is giving them an opportunity to find a home, to find the care, to find a smile, to find something to change their lives. The Mayor's Council of Guam, in partnership with the Foster Association of Guam and Harvest House, want to find homes for these kids. Help us find homes for them so that they can get the love and the care that they all deserve. We were kids once, we aren't now. Well, we sure don't want to make those kids grow up not knowing if they could have a future for themselves. Thank you.
Listen, watch, and learn from the daily Chamorro News updates from KUAM News. Catch them on The Link during the 8 o'clock hour, streaming online on Isla Radio, or on the KUAM News YouTube channel for your convenience. Tune in and stay informed, all while preserving our precious culture through the daily use of our native Chamorro language. Chamorro News updates are brought to you by your familia at First Hawaiian Bank.
Get ready to run or ride to 22 with the Miles Challenge. Join the challenge from now till January 31st to rack up those miles on foot or by cycling. Runners can choose from 100, 200, and 300 miles. Cyclists 300, 600, and 900 miles. Go to mileschallenge.com to select your challenge and register today. The Run and Ride to 22 Challenge is brought to you by Uproar, Trench Challenge, Kill Cliff, and KUAM Communications. Donation proceeds to benefit the EMC Cancer Foundation. Guam is good.
Let's get merry during the most wonderful time of the year by making spirits bright. KUAM Communications and Coast 360 want to highlight your decorations and lights by flooding the social media pages of KUAM with your videos and photos. Finish your holiday setup, snap a few shots or video of your delightful display, and send it to us through social media or email them to promotions@KUAM.com. Check out our posts every Friday or tune in to KUAM News Weekend Edition for a special montage of the submissions certain to be making spirits bright with every broadcast. Warmest holiday wishes from KUAM Communications and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
This holiday season, we're once again bringing together the island's largest array of local vendors for a special innovative way for you to shop, broadcast, and go digital with Team KUAM. Join us on Sunday, November 28th for the annual Christmas Pops Virtual Holiday Market at 12 noon on KUAM TV8 and the KUAM News Facebook page, plus additional show times through December 11th. We'll also be featuring vendors daily with posts with QR codes and links on our social media pages beginning Monday, November 29th, and hosting an exclusive Christmas Pops website for your one-stop shopping. It's a safe and convenient way for you to shop local this holiday season. To reserve your spot, email promotions@KUAM.com today. Virtual space is limited.
Presented by UOG School of Business and Public Administration, JA Guam, inspiring youth, and the Guam Visitors Bureau, making Guam a better place to live, work, and visit.
Join KUAM every Wednesday on Primetime for Inside Business. It's our new weekly segment featuring the struggle of Guam's businesses during this global pandemic. We'll hear from industry leaders about the difficult decisions they were forced to make to implement cutoffs, layoffs, and shorten hours just to survive. It's the other side effect of COVID, the island's economic crisis. We'll also feature new businesses that managed to open and thrive during these challenging times. It's Inside Business every Wednesday on KUAM News Primetime.
Take in the panoramic beauty of our island each Sunday on the KUAM News Instagram with Scenic Sundays. Scroll through the natural beauty of the island on display. Scenic Sundays on the KUAM News Instagram is brought to you by Addis Trust and Investment, Location, Service, Trust, and Häagen-Dazs Shops Guam, where every day is made extraordinary.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore. Stop on by and visit our showroom today. We offer everyday low prices on all major outdoor power equipment like bush cutter, chainsaw, power washer, generators, and more. Need service, repair, maintenance? Well, check out Guam's best superstore only at Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, located in Barragata along Army Drive between Submarina and Besta Market. Call 735-7446 for more information. Now shipping to surrounding islands. Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore.
Chris is here. Sabrina is here. I'm Jason.
I'm here.
And I believe I'm here. DJ Joser is here, and Mike is here too. And we are wrapping up this episode. But we want to tell you the community testing. That means it's available for one and all, anyone who needs it. And if you are in need right now, please head over to the Old Carnival Grounds in Teason. It started about 2 hours ago and goes until high noon. So from 8 to 12, you can actually avail of free community COVID testing. All you have to bring is a photo ID. Just line up. The process is very, very fast, very, very smooth. You will get your results shortly thereafter. All you need to do is bring a photo ID. You don't even have to exhibit any symptoms. If you just want to know your status, which is with each and every one of our mayors, if I can even say that, have emphasized. So again, 8 to 12 over in Teason. Also, if you are in Tamuning, we of course had your mayor, the Honorable Louise Rivera, and she actually said that the Tamuning booster vaccination clinic opened early because there was such a long line there.
Get boosted.
Nice. So if you need it's a village vaccination clinic for people 65 and over. The Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson boosters are being administered, and that goes until 1:30 in the afternoon at the Tamuning Senior Citizens Center. So please know your status. If you want to get boosted, go for it. UOG not open today, everybody. Remember, every day except Sundays and Thursdays.
Yeah. UOG is open, but the field house for the vaccinations and whatnot is not open.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. 9:53. Hey, Burger King, guys. Have you tried the ghost pepper chicken nuggets? Right, sir? You heard Joe, sir, over there. He was like,
When are we going to try that?
We're going to try that, Mike. Don't worry.
When?
You got to do a couple days first, bro. You don't just start and then you get all the perks.
It's
next week, bro.
Yeah, next week you got it.
Okay, but the ghost pepper, there
Jay,
is nothing disappearing about the flavor.
No, Jay is panty, doesn't like pica, but you like the ghost pepper, right?
The ghost pepper one, it had like a lot of kick.
Had a kick
And I
to
like
it.
that.
I tell you, it's like a kick and then a punch and then a knee.
It's okay, and let me, I'm going to say this in a way as professional as I can as a broadcaster with 22 years of experience. It's not going to burn you on the way in or the way out, all right? It's a good amount of heat. It's very, very tasty, and the heat is flavorful. That's the key thing. It's not, super, super hot.
Right on. So go check
If
out.
I can take it, you can. And
Yep.
as Chris
You
said.
can take it, Jay. If anybody. It's the ghost pepper chicken nuggets at Burger King.
Well, it's almost 10 o'clock. Chris, have you
It
done
is.
your little prick yet? It's almost that time.
It is that time. Thanks,
Yeah, I
Jay.
got jokes too, bro.
Touche,
Yeah.
bro. I always got my little prick on me, bro.
The
It's
double
ready to go.
entendre game in this one is strong.
Okay. It's also brought to you in part by Docomo Pacific. Guys, Link Fam, thank you. KUAM TV. It's been awesome. We're leaving you with Cover Me. My name's Chris.
I'm Sabrina.
I'm Jason. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Mamokatu di halum tonu taman yoda irigalo mizu legu sai nama osi nani na esti bepute hitanu mizu. But then I look up to the north, over to the west side. All the lands they be taking, all the bodies that they hide. Evident to the potential of the desecration levels and water contamination for the sake of their own nation. Offer to my mama, no kita no, offer na kalanesti. What if the water gets contaminated, ancestors are reinvented? Oh, tell me, how could this be? Offer to my mama no kita no I sleeping at the sea. Munga malefa hale mu te considera tano mu te offer baron so gui humano tu gilantu tana boka ga husiha ayatani bunitu natano hu I husen magu munga manuli mastano hu. Oh, can you hear me when I'm singing this song? Or do they hear me when the plans go wrong? Or will you hear me speaking in your tongue? Tanu matamoru itano the where we're from. Offer to my mama no gitano. Offer to kala esti. What if the water gets contaminated? Our ancestors are reinvented. Oh, tell me how could this be? Offer to my mama no gitano. I sleeping at the sea. Munga malefa hale mu te considera tano mu. Te offer baron so gui. Offer to my mama no